We are live. We can start the show. Well, let me check the lighting. I mean, we can go and start the show whenever. I'm going to check the lighting in a sec. But go ahead.
What is up, team? And welcome back to the Technical Foul Podcast. Me and JP left you about an hour ago after our NFL recap, and now we get to another weekend preview of football, and it's a special one. It's rivalry weekend, a top weekend in sports. You really don't beat it. There's just so much aura, honestly, around this weekend. Because not only is it rivalry weekend, you get that, but then also you get like NFL games on Thanksgiving Day. You just don't beat it. Sanders is back with us for this show. That's another exciting feature. But I just can't wait to get into this show.
And we don't have to do like our How Was Your Weekend because we saw each other yesterday. This is our third show in 24 hours, or y'all's third show in 24 hours. So none of this like catching up, being friendly stuff. I think we can dive right in. Do y'all have any opposition to that?
I need you to answer one quick question really quick.
Oh, no.
I don't really have a question for you, but yeah, we
okay.
can get into it. I tried to think of something on the fly, couldn't come up with anything.
You could ask me anything about the basketball game. I was just working. I would have answered any of those questions, but
What basketball game?
hey, that's a good New Orleans team. Like JP was saying off screen, he was hyping up them. They've got some good wins.
They do have good wins.
Against TCU.
And Tulane.
Couple tough losses to Pepperdine.
Oh, that's really disrespectful to Pepperdine. I won't lie.
To call that a tough loss?
To say Pepperdine.
To say their name incorrectly.
Which one is it? Pepperdine.
I'm glad you went there.
Yes.
He's just hating yet again on another school, on another person.
Haterade.
We've established that he is the drinker of Haterade on this podcast, which really you wouldn't expect from Sanders, to be honest.
I'm not. That's not. Okay, cool. We can call it.
He's just heavy on both sides of the pendulum.
Yeah.
He gets really excited and loves some players and teams.
Thank you, Tucker.
And
That
he'll
boy,
flip that in
22,
hate.
could shoot the freaking ball. Oh, my word. I compared it. I told someone standing on the sideline with me. What?
Sorry, again, that boy to a former member of our U.S. Army.
Sorry, that's the Southern in me coming out. That man could shoot the ball. Is that better?
That former member of the Army. could
If you
shoot the
transfer
ball.
out of... Wait, former member of the Army or former member of the Army Academy?
He was an Army basketball player.
And I believe
Does
if
he
you're at this,
transfer-
I believe if you're at the school, you're like enlisted in some capacity.
Yes, but if you transfer out... Because if you go to Army, you have to, like, serve. I wonder if you transfer out, I assume you don't have to serve anymore.
I'd assume you don't.
Yeah, interesting. But yes, Tucker, that guy could shoot. Do you want to talk football now that we've talked about basketball for 45 seconds?
If you want to.
I guess. I mean, I talked about how exciting this weekend is, but then we have to start with the Egg Bowl. We have to talk about Mississippi State football.
We have to. We get to.
Yeah. This is where you go to school, Jack. Let's not forget that.
Oh, I'm totally aware, and I'm typically more excited. I don't like the prospects of this game. I don't have good feelings about this game
For who?
for State.
Wow.
That's curious. Guess we'll get into why that is. We can just go ahead and get right into it if you want.
I
Yeah,
guess
let
we
me,
must.
There we go. That is it.
The Ole Miss Rebels travel to Stark Vegas to face the Mississippi State Bulldogs on Friday morning. Unfortunately, it's a morning kickoff, but it's the Egg Bowl, a top rivalry in college football. So much history, so much iconic moments. One of my personal favorites, the Piss and Miss. You just don't beat something like that. Some iconic fights.
The Bo Wallace fumble is also... The piss and miss and the Bo Wallace fumble in the end zone are probably... they're the two moments from the Egg Bowl that I love the most because they're the ones that have happened that I can remember.
It's the last
Sure.
2 times we've won in Starkville as well.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we have another iconic moment like that leads to another win. But we will need... I won't say need some help. We'll have to play well. Ole Miss is a 6.5-point favorite, so they are projected to win. Y'all's keys to this game, y'all's thoughts about this game, y'all's worries about this game, y'all's hopes for this game. What do y'all have?
I'll let JP get it started, and then I can kind of jump in as I feel
Okay,
necessary.
well, for the Egg Bowl, it's the pinnacle of Mississippi sports, of Mississippi State sports. It is a rivalry unlike any other, which is an overused phrase, but it for college football, it's one of those. It is the sport where it applies.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we're talking about Vanderbilt, Tennessee, if we're talking about Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, which go Chips go, fire up Chips, as they say. Rivalries in college football, and especially rivalry week, hold impact like no other. They give life to teams. They become Super Bowls for teams. It will be a Super Bowl for State on Friday, and the Egg Bowl is that for Bulldogs and Rebels. A ton of years of this game, you reflect leading up to it on what this game could potentially mean for the two programs, what the impacts of the game could be, the drama leading up to the game. This has always been a game of intense magnitude on the future of the programs. For State this year, it is simple. Win and you go to a bowl game in year 2 with Lebby would be a tremendous accomplishment. Would sadly would not meet the hopes and expectations of our MSU Barstool account and at least 50 people who have liked that post.
Well, they're idiots.
That being said, I digress. The season would be a tremendous success. I'd argue it still is with the loss, but we'll discuss that on Sunday. Two birds with one stone as well. Winning the Egg Bowl and making a bowl game, you can't really get a better opportunity than that. Recruiting becomes easier, something Lebby touched on in his press conference today, I should say. And the buy-in for next year is through the roof. The fan base will be finally vindicated for the torture that has been State and SEC play for 2 straight years. An Egg Bowl changes all. It captures all. The last time we won was, of course, in Mike Leach's final game. It vindicated everything. The last one in Starkville and the last one prior to that, is in an interim head coach with Greg Knox and the piss and miss. And the last one prior to that, of course, is what kicked off what would be a historic year for Mississippi State in 2014, where we were the number 1 team in the country, winning the 2013 Egg Bowl off the back of Dak Prescott's second-half comeback and Bo Wallace's fumble into the end zone. And the same stories can be told for Old Piss. They're just not as cool. They're actually really bad. For the School of North, though, for this game, it is really this is kind of unprecedented, I would say. I think there was discussion potentially of Dan Mullen leaving State towards the end of his tenure, but nothing like this. Nothing like what Lane Kiffin has gone through for the past 3 weeks. Does winning keep Lane even around for the playoff? Probably not, given what the announcement that we're expected to have on Saturday. But if they are to win, at least it is his last game. You won the Egg Bowl, the biggest game he can win for you. And you go out on a great note. You salute him. He has a really tremendous record in Egg Bowls. Kiffin, in his press conference, which he had today, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Really?
You need to go watch it.
Is it cinema?
It is cinema. Kiffin was asked today if he were to win 2 more games at Old Piss, he would become the winningest coach in Old Piss history. And he answered, credit to the players that were a part of that. Of course, that is a massively loaded question because winning 2 games.
Wait, what did they ask him? Because that's not a question. That's a statement.
They told him.
They asked him, what are your thoughts?
If you win 2 more games here at Old Piss, you will become the winningest coach in the history of the university. What would that mean to you from a winning percentage standpoint? You'd be the winningest coach. What would that mean to you? And that, of course, is an extremely loaded question because Lane, at least at this point, it seems like it is favored that he won't play, but coach another game for the School Up North after Friday.
Sure.
And he will be 1 game short of setting that record. It's an unbelievable. The press conference is one of the most uncomfortable press conferences I've ever watched.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see. I would imagine a body language expert is going to break that down because it was insane. He at the beginning of the press conference said he was only going to answer questions about Friday's game, this team, and this season. And credit to the Ole Miss reporters and writers. He was asked roughly 7 or 6 questions about his future, and he declined to respond to each of them, including at one point the same guy asked 3 questions in a row about his future, and he said, a paraphrasing, but come on, dude, are we gonna keep doing this, or do you have a different question? And he was like, yeah, actually, I do have a good question about the game, and he would ask a question about the game.
That's
Yeah.
fire.
That's
It
good
was,
work from that reporter.
It was one of the most uncomfortable press conferences I've ever watched, and it has been for 3 weeks uncomfortable in Oxford. And it is a huge storyline coming into this game. The vibes of how their fans are going to feel in that game. Kiffin in Egg Bowls has always been someone who is celebrated like a lot more than he's really ever celebrated in any games when big plays happen, when he picks up a first down in a critical moment on a third down. He is huge to celebrate. He's big on toting around the Egg Bowl of trophy as well. It was in the background of his press conference today.
That's good stuff.
He's not afraid to tote it around. He knows how much it means to the Rebels and, of course, to the state of Mississippi. That all being said, I do want to. Do you have any thoughts before we get into X's and O's?
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's
Tucker
going to
has some
be
things in
and
the
Tucker
chat.
also added some things. Let's finish the conversation about the head coaching situation because that is a big part, and then we move to the X's and O's. Tucker made a great point about there's a semi-precedent that a 10-2 Kiffinless Ole Miss could get left out of the playoff,
Absolutely.
which would be wild. The precedent would be, I guess, the Florida State situation when they lose their quarterback Jordan Travis, and they looked unimpressive to finish the season. If Ole Miss looks, I mean, they're what 10-1 right now, so 10-2 would be they lose to us, and then the next day Kiffin announces that he's going to a different school. There is absolutely precedence, especially with all the teams that we talked about on yesterday's show. I was about to say Sunday, like it wasn't 24 hours ago. On Sunday's show, on the outside looking in, but just barely, Vanderbilt, BYU, Utah, all these teams sitting just there. Maybe at Texas if they get a win against A&M. I could definitely see that becoming a problem for Ole Miss, that one of those teams would sneak in over them.
It's possible. The fact they have a win against Oklahoma really helps, though.
Yeah.
Because they both have the same win-loss at that point, and then the head-to-head there, and they've
Yeah, but head-to-head doesn't matter
If
when
you're in
you
the
lose
same-
somebody important.
Yeah, but I, in my personal opinion, which I don't know what the committee will do, I think the committee will view losing starting quarterback different as losing head coach.
Really?
I think they will say, we're still going to give credit to the players, what the players have done, and they're still there. And so we don't see any reason for the coaching
Yeah,
change.
after they didn't give credit to the 21 players that were on a team that went 13-0.
I'm just saying I still think it's a little different.
I disagree with you.
Really?
I think it actually holds more impact to the
Well,
head
I
coach
think-
not being
I
there.
think like in terms of the actual team, sure, but I think the committee will not do that. I think the
You-
committee's less likely
fair.
to do that.
You never know with the committee. They also don't value
It's a
head-to-head.
completely new committee
Yeah.
as well.
Notre Dame has the same amount of losses as Miami, but is ranked 4 spots higher and has continued to be week after week. Now they've performed
I'm
that
saying
way.
Ole Miss is what, 6 right now?
They are 6, yes.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see a massive fall
If
happening.
they lose to State by 75,
yeah, of course,
Okay.
sure.
I'm just wondering.
And
State-
Trinidad
they're not
Chambliss
losing to
and
State by
Austin
75.
Simmons combined for 11 interceptions.
Sure. That would probably have to happen for State to win by 75.
I don't know. I think there's a route where they don't need 11 picks.
I think
When's
we
the last
could do it
time
with 10.
Mississippi State has scored 75 points? Have they ever scored 75
We
points in
scored
program
70
history?
against Alcorn State, I believe. It was 70, right?
I think it was 63.
Was it 63?
It was either 63 or 70.
That's not 75.
No, I don't know if we ever scored
So
75.
therefore, Ole Miss has to go
I'm sure we
negative
scored
points.
75.
Another thing, and this is just, I was thinking about this today, but we don't have to talk about it because it's just a theory. I really wonder if Ole Miss loses and Lane Kiffin loses the Egg Bowl and then announces the next day that he's coming back to Ole Miss. What do y'all think the vibes from Ole Miss fans would be? Because a lot of them on Twitter, and this is, so it's a small microcosm of the fan base, but a vocal portion of the fan base, because it's Twitter fans and burners, mad at him. They're pissed at him. They said, we are like, done with this. We've done this for 6 years. We've given you all these resources. We've invested in you. We've loved you as a coach, as our guy. Like, we've supported you. We've backed you, and you've grown into what you are now from what you were when you got here. And they're kind of done. They're like, this is a toxic relationship we want out of. What would happen if they lose the Egg Bowl and the next day he's like, I'm coming back?
They're all in. I
Yeah.
think it's insecurity from them,
Okay.
and just worried about uncertainty of the future that's causing them to like lash out. And if he said, I'm not leaving, they were like, good old Lane. Like, he's always making his
Yeah,
jokes
he's
and
always
trolling.
just been messing around.
Yeah, but he was never leaving. Like, he's an Ole Miss lifer, and we love him for that.
And they're in the playoff. They'll buy in immediately into the playoff,
Correct.
and it
Yeah.
won't matter. It won't hold the same impact as like Ohio State losing to Michigan did last year. But it might hold a little bit of that marginal one. But if it's anything, it'll be state burners will be in their DMs replying with us holding the Egg Bowl trophy. If
Yeah.
anything, I think that they wouldn't
The-
be anything from their burners.
And then they'll be
posting.
like, you can have the Egg Bowl trophy. We're in the playoffs. We got bigger fish to fry.
a photo of Kamario Taylor holding the Egg Bowl trophy
please,
would
you can't,
go
you cannot
so
be doing this stuff.
hard.
I prefer the Blake Shapen holding the Egg Bowl trophy.
I'm not even saying
he's
Kamario
gonna
has to
win
play.
it.
I'm not saying Kamario has to play, but like there will be a photo of it, and because he like it's
There
go-
already is a photo of it.
is wait why
In
is
his
there?
recruiting visit. Has a photo with the Egg Bowl trophy.
But we haven't had it for 2 years, so I guess when he was a
There's
freshman.
a photo of him
Yeah, I guess he was.
with the trophy.
It was that far back.
It is
Alright.
one of the photos that Levy's burners posted.
Because I think it
to start
hurts
him.
even more to post a Blake Shapen Egg Bowl like to put that in their mentions.
I don't know. Tucker said he thinks that they'd make it in. Playoff spots are less valuable now, so it's easier to say just leave them in. That's fair. Do we want to move on to? Y'all have more thoughts on the?
I got one more
it.
thing, and I just want to put context into the whole situation that we've gotten into here as state fans. I've joked a ton about our Twitter fan base specifically, and maybe just our fan base in general. I've also been very pissed about it and had rants about it as well. If I told you coming into the season that a spread that at the beginning of the season, which was available on FanDuel, was Mississippi State as 13.5-point underdogs against Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, and now the spread was 6.5 in favor of Ole Miss, still 6.5-point underdogs, a 7-point movement in the line, and Ole Miss was still in the playoff regardless of the result of the game. Would you be happy with the season? I'm sure you would, because that would assume that we have played very well. And
Yeah.
We have played very well above expectations coming into
Not
the
according
year.
to some people's expectations.
Not according to Barstool and at least 50 people that have liked that, which I guess those are just people that like any tweet that comes across from Barstool, just so that they can continue to see his posts, which they shouldn't. They should just block him at this point. That account has fallen off a cliff because of the current owner, which is sad to see. But State's at 5 wins. We're a game away from bowl eligibility. You would have taken that coming into the season. The win total was 2.5. We've already doubled our wins coming into the year. Just because we started 4-0, you can't.
Was it 3.5?
3.5? It might. I think
Y'all
it was
blew it
3.5.
out.
I think it was 3.5.
Because y'all had 3.
Yeah, you're right. It was 3.5.
You had 3 like non-power 4 games.
Regardless, we broke that through the first 4 games. That doesn't mean you can change your expectations the rest of the year. You can want more, and we all want more. But I don't think you can say that what he is saying right now is we had high hopes coming into the season because that's exactly what he's saying.
You can't change your expectations based on how the team performs.
You can yes.
Okay.
That is what I'm saying. You can change your expectations from game to game, but I think from what you expected coming into the season and how you should feel about whether the season was a success or not, this is the argument we got with basketball of, well, what did you expect coming into the season? Did they meet those expectations? We've blown those out of the park. And that is, in large part, what I'm getting at.
That's crazy.
You can want more. I don't think you should expect more.
Except that you don't know how the team's going to look, especially when it's so loaded with transfers, and then it comes out and it looks the way it does, and you beat a top 12 team in Arizona State, and you drop 60 or 10 more than 60 on
Against
Alcorn
Alcorn?
State.
We're
Sure.
not
I'm
factoring
just-
in the Alcorn State
I'm
game
just saying that, like,
whatsoever.
Okay,
But
but
then you watch the Tennessee game and how he collapsed down the stretch, and then you
Right,
watch the
but
Florida
you-
game
but-
and how he collapsed down the stretch.
Would you say the season's a success?
I am happy with how the season.
But you can. I think it's the thing of you can be happy with how the season went because you had certain expectations going into the season, while also still feeling a little disappointed that you maybe let an opportunity slip away.
I think we don't have to get in. This is not X's and O's. I think we fell short of what we could have gotten to. I think that I'm a little disappointed that we lost the Florida game in the manner that we did, and that we were unable to do anything in the Tennessee game with the ball in a tie game, 2 minutes. That we blew the Texas game in the manner that we did. I think that's fair.
I
And so
get what you're saying, and I am not disagreeing. You are allowed to feel disappointed in that. But I can also make the same point of, would you have taken, we are in overtime against Tennessee at home at the beginning of the year.
yes,
Yes. Then you have to live with that. That's I think what we're.
I just think it's
largest point
crazy that
we're
you
getting
cannot
at.
change your expectations based on.
Because all it can do is hurt you, and that is what it has done. That's all it can do, is just hurt you. That is just, I think it's the right way to think about it.
I think you can
Hold
be
up.
your expectations about the season were met, so you're happy with how the season went, and then there's like moments in the season that were disappointing, or like specific games that disappoint.
And you also, like, I think it's a large thing. You can't think that just because we started 4-0 that the players are robots, that injuries aren't going to happen, that we are going to be perfect down the stretch of every game we play, like we were perfect against Arizona State down the stretch of a game. When you do that, just because you have the small sample size, it's only going to hurt you. I think it's just only going to hurt you. And so all I was trying to do was just provide context of how much success and improvement this program has seen from expectations at the beginning of the year, that a point spread has moved 7 points and Old Piss is in the playoff regardless of result on Friday morning. If you'd like to continue to discuss that, we can talk about it after the game. But
Let's do that.
X's and O's wise, these are going to be the keys to the game, but these are just kind of stats coming into the game as well. State its penalties is a big one. State is 98th in the country at 59.9 yards per game, but Old Piss is worse, and so we got to win the penalty battle there. Old Piss is 107th in the country at 62.5 yards per game. The school up north is dynamic offensively, and that is going to be a huge challenge for the Dogs on Friday morning. They are 11th in passing yards with 290 per game, 23rd in rushing yards with 193. That's the third overall offense and the 13th overall scoring offense, scoring 36 points a game and having just shy of 500 yards per game this year. State, in the last 4 games, has been terrible defensively, giving up 35, 41, 35, and 38 points defensively. And yes, that takes out Blake Shapen's pick sixes. We have also spotted teams in those games as well because of that. The Shapen pick sixes, the punt return by Ryan Niblett in the Texas game. State is going to have to somehow keep Old Piss under 35 points for sure. State is giving up 202 rushing yards per game. It's the 13th worst in the country. But, and hopefully something to rely on throughout this game, is just giving up 214 yards per game through the air. We faced some really, really talented passing attacks in Tennessee, in Texas A&M, in Georgia, and we've handled our business there mainly because we've given up all the yards on the ground. Now, if we
There's positive and negative ways to spin it.
yes, absolutely. If there's keys to the game, it's these. We have to tackle. We have to tackle really, really well. We need to go to try and shut down the run, and because of that, the screenplay to the receivers in space, which is something that Kiffin does so well. We have to tackle. In the games that it has gone bad in the last 4, it was Georgia and Missouri. We had 30 missed tackles across the 2 games. But in the games that have went well out of the last 4, Arkansas and Texas, which went well until it didn't, we only had 15 total missed tackles across the 2 games. We have to tackle well to have a chance in this game. Duh. Football is about tackling. That being said, it's really important because Kiffin will spread you out in space. They have a 2.5 second average time to throw this season with Trinidad Chambliss. Here's my concern with all of that. Even if we are going to stop the run as much as we will, if we have no pass rush in this game, Kiffin has the chance to take advantage of that and dial up deep shots down the field. It'll be a huge test for Kelly Jones. It'll be a huge test for Jerron Manning and Brylan Lanier and Diago Brunfield. How will they hold up one-on-one? If they are able to and we're able to slow down the run because we're able to load the box, State has a chance defensively to stay in the game. On the offensive side, though, State's got to find consistent rush game, stay ahead of the chains, avoid negative plays, as Levy would say. Got to have carries for Fluff Bothwell. I don't care how you do it. He has to have touches at least. Get him the ball, even if it's in the passing game. Kamario is going to have series in this game and multiple snaps and multiple rushing attempts. We cannot have Blake Shapen lead the team in rushing attempts because he's the worst athlete on the field. I'd argue he might be worse than the offensive lineman we have. Probably not fatter,
Wow.
but slower and less athletic than our offensive linemen. I think you could make an argument for that. And so State has to find consistent rush game by getting it to our playmakers, which we have enough of. Both these teams have been very similar in pass rush success, so I think this is potentially a swing stat for this game, a potential padlock stat. Old Piss has 22 sacks this season, State 20. So very similar pass rushes. If we're able to dominate, which we are not going to, of course, if we do, it'll be a good story for State. If we're able to win the sack game, like we did against Texas, like we did against Arkansas, it can potentially make a difference in this game, like it did in those two games. If we're able to protect Shapen, of course, we more than likely don't spot them free points in this game. Turnover margin is going to matter. We're going to have to win that like we have all season. We're +3 in turnover margin. Old Piss is -3. And then my final two. I guarantee you that this game is going to come down to crucial moments where Jeff Lebby has to make a decision whether or not he should call a timeout to get the right play, whether or not by walking up to the referee he actually calls the timeout, which he has had plenty of scenarios he has been in this season. And about 80% of the time when he doesn't call the timeout, it has gone really, really poorly. And then whether or not to go for it. What will be the distance needed to go for it on fourth down? Apparently against Georgia, it was 7 yards.
Or less. He said, 7. Anything 7 or less, he was going to go for it.
That's insane.
That's college football 26 behavior right there.
Yeah.
Look, I'm one of the most aggressive coaches in college football 26 history, but 7 yards is a lot.
That's college football 26, like exhibition game against your friend,
Agreed.
type behavior.
Look, personally, I'm comfortable with 5 or less. I'm sure they're going to go 7 or less again, and I hope we're not in that scenario a ton. Of course, Lebby hopes we're not in that scenario because if we're at 7 or less, that would mean either we gained 1 yard per play or we had a negative play.
Yep.
Those darn wasted plays, man.
But the real key, and this is the stat that Sanders doesn't know because he doesn't have ball knowledge, is this. State in wins this year, the closing spread, not opening, closing, has been State as a 5.5 point underdog or less, meaning or better. State in all of their losses have been a closing spread of 7.5 or more. The spread opened at 7.5. It is currently 6.5. We need all of you to go on Thanksgiving. Get your parents, get your cousins, your uncles, your sisters, your great grandmas, get their phone, get on, not Call Sheet. Don't get on Call Sheet. Not worth it. Get on Bet Online, Bovada, if you're in a state that doesn't have gambling. If you're in Tennessee, Missouri, you name it, FanDuel. Get on FanDuel and bet Mississippi State +6.5 with as much money as you're willing to bet. Ask for your Christmas gift early. in the form of whatever your stocking stuffer was going to be. Give me my $50 right now. I need to put it on Mississippi State plus 6.5 so that this line is moved to Mississippi State plus 5.5, and thus State is guaranteed a win. That is the real key to the game. All the X's and O's don't matter. The spread needs to be 5.5 or less.
So the closing spread of the Arizona State game was 5.5.
Correct.
I thought it was more than that.
It was 5.5. Closed at 5.5.
Would you like to give us your X's and O's for the game?
I
Or would you like to pass?
don't have. I will pass. I don't know how I'm gonna work this game.
Work this because you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Did you not write these up in here?
Right. What up?
Are these not your points?
No. Are they your points?
I'm not in an Apple Notes page.
Well, it's the Google Sheet.
It's the Google Sheet.
Oh, I wrote those points.
Okay.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I did not make
My
any
fault.
points.
My fault.
Well, you Sanders, you can read them as your own if you like.
Yeah, sure. A couple my 5 points.
you agree
no,
with
they're
them.
no, they're JP already ran through those. Get lucky. That is a great point.
The 5 keys, if you wanted to put it as short as possible, I think we have to score 35 plus in this game because I cannot imagine that we're going to have an elite defensive performance unless we have insane turnover luck, which I'll get into. We need to score 35 plus. Stop the run, please. Commit to stopping the run. Don't give up 300 rushing yards to Kawan Lacey. Although I would mind it because he's on my fantasy team, and that would mean I win my third place game. But stop the damn run. Let our DBs play ball. Let Kelly Jones, Thiago, Brylan, Hunter Washington play ball. Tackle. Pretty key one. Hard to argue with. Run the ball or at least get the ball to your backs. We need Devon Booth and Fluff Bothwell to have touches. And finally, get lucky.
Sure.
Yeah. One thing I do want to hit on is I really hope that this bye week got us healthy. We don't have an injury report yet. It should come out tomorrow night because they usually come out Wednesday night for Saturday games. So for Friday game, it should come out tomorrow night. But last game's injury report for Missouri, Blake Shapen was on it, but he played and didn't ever look banged up. So I don't expect that he was injured any further. I expect him to be fully healthy. Isaac Smith was out. Jet Jefferson was out. Albert Reeves was probable, but he was on there. So I really hope that we get back, specifically Isaac Smith. I hope he is at 100%, and then I hope Albert Reeves is at 100%. And then our starting quarterback, whoever it is, I hope is playing at 100%. Blake Shapen, I hope is at 100%.
Reese is going to play.
Right.
I can guarantee
Did
that.
you watch? Have you watched? Was it yesterday's press conference?
He had a press conference
today.
I need
Probably.
to, it was yesterday, I think.
It was yesterday.
I need to go watch it. I
They
haven't
do it
watched
on a Sunday, I guess, because
They
it's a
did it on
Friday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Because they moved
That
the
is
day
wild.
forward.
All right.
Isaac Smith didn't do a press conference, so Isaac Smith, I would assume, is up in the air, and there was no question about it. Levy said the injury report would speak to it, and I don't know about Jet Jefferson either. Shapen is going to play. As far as I know right now, Shapen was benched due to the game being too far and keeping him away from injury risk.
I mean,
which is what we thought when it happened. Because, like, you said that when Camario came in, you were like, this confirms that Shapen's going to start in 2 weeks.
yeah. I mean, if you really wanted to start Shapen in this game, which clearly he did, it was smart to take him out of that game because brother was just taking shots.
Yep.
Really, my biggest thing, and I'll just tack it on real quick, and you've basically already touched on it. You can't let Lacey cosplay as Ahmad Hardy and rush for. It doesn't even have to be 300. If he goes for like 250 or something like that, I think the game's over because it signifies a lot of greater issues in terms of you're clearly not tackling well. The defensive line and the front seven just isn't being physical enough, and that's just going to be a long day overall. And then obviously, I mean, you can force fumbles and whatnot, but I feel a lot better about y'all's chances of making almost turn the football over with kind of y'all's ball hawks in the secondary. But
Yeah.
if they're not really having to throw the ball a ton, that's also out the window. You can't let that happen again. Even from a pride standpoint, even like keeping the crowd in the game. If Ole Miss just runs all over you, the air's gonna get sucked out of the stadium. So
I would love to know historic spreads, because this feels like one of the biggest gaps as far as Ole Miss right now being a top 10 team and State still being in a rebuild. I wonder how much, and the reason I wonder about that is I wonder how many Ole Miss fans are going to be there on Friday.
My guess is it's going to be 60-40.
Really?
Yes.
I think that's going to be and that'll be the biggest, I think, takeover we've seen in an Egg Bowl game because typically it's pretty pretty heavily lean towards the home side, as it should be. But it's kind of a thing. I think it's every rivalry probably does it. Let's go take over our rival school, and then like it's like 95-5 because it's your rivalry game, so you're not gonna sell all the tickets to away fans.
You
But I'm
will.
curious to see how that looks this Friday.
They've already planned to take over the east, the east side of the stadium.
But they did that 2 years ago too.
But they're being serious. They're putting the section numbers in comment sections of people who are saying they're going to the game or where to get tickets and everything. And it's going to be 60-40. But
the Cowbells will make up some ground. We'll give you all a boost.
I don't know about that.
I
I hope they'll give us a little bit of a boost. But
yeah,
almost-
Cowbell 100% gives you a boost.
almost every single game I've put keep the crowd in the game as a key to it. I don't feel like that matters in this game.
I'm telling you,
I think it
a
does.
cowbell is physically louder than a person.
I agree.
So a cowbell counts for more. So even if it's
But we don't
60-40
have
people,
enough cowbells because 40% of our crowd isn't cowbells for it to matter like it did in the Arizona State game.
but say your cowbell is like a 1.2 times multiplier to your 60%, then that still like is an increase. It makes your 60%
It's nice,
count for a
but we
little bit
haven't-
more.
I would argue we haven't met the threshold of needed cowbells to match.
I think that Tennessee game, the Tennessee game, it was like 60-40s,
Yeah.
like 55-45, 50-50, and the Cowbells mattered. I mean, we almost won that game. It goes to overtime. I think the Cowbells mattered.
I don't.
I mean, you'd obviously
disagree.
still prefer to be 80%, and then you add on the cowbells.
I agree.
But I'm saying the cowbells are still something.
Yep. Well,
They're not nothing,
That's what. Yeah, you got a 1.2 times multiplier to your crowd noise.
but I don't think they're enough to get on the keys to the game.
That's fine. I'll allow that.
yeah. Okay.
They're your keys to the game anyway.
Besides,
so.
if it's a mute point if we start trailing early because it's going to be 100-0.
You gotta start quick, is what I'm hearing.
I think he's, yeah. I
Oh,
think
there's gonna
he's-
be booing because Chafin. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's diabolical from the fan base, man.
It's the truth.
Well, they just wanted more from this season. They had higher hopes.
So Tucker, what he said 13 minutes ago or 17 minutes ago is what I'm getting at, more so. He said, to put it more succinctly, I think JP is saying you can't pick State to win 4 games in the preseason and then be disappointed if they win 5.
Yes.
That is what I'm
I think
saying.
that's fair. I just don't. I have a huge issue with the statement. You can't change expectations based on performance.
I clearly worded it wrongly. What I am trying to say is you can't change your preseason expectations based off of what has happened in season.
You have to keep perspective.
yeah.
You have to
But,
keep
like,
some perspective.
My example, and this is a extreme, but it's just to prove a point. It's not to be like, oh, every situation is like this. But like, look at 2010 Auburn, preseason number 22 or number 23. They go and win the national championship because you find out that Cam Newton is Cam Newton, right? Mississippi State fans, you find out Brennan Thompson is the fastest man in college football.
You already knew that.
Yes, but you see it in front of you, and it actually works, and it plays, and you find out Anthony Evans is a good wide receiver too, and then you find out Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth are still really good.
And you
So-
find out the defense is indeed kind of stinky.
Well, through the first 4 games, they were not. They did have a bad second half against Arizona State, but Kelly Jones, you realize, is good. Zachary Tillman is playing well. You find out you've got a deep secondary in.
So you know what I would call that? A performance above expectations.
Right, but it also, I think expectations have to rise.
Cam Newton,
Okay.
Torrington Auburn, greatly exceeded expectations.
Yes, but halfway
Arizona
through,
State last year
halfway
greatly
through that
exceeded
season, your
expectations.
expectations
I understand that, but
have changed.
what if you are talking about Auburn this year?
Yeah.
They were expected to potentially be 9-3, competing for the SEC, 8-4. Definitely weren't expecting to have a losing record again. If they lose the Iron Bowl, it's still a failure of a season, even if you were
With a great moment.
having a great moment. Yes,
I mean, we're just going to have to agree to disagree
Yeah.
here.
and it's a massive failure of
I agree. There needs to be an adjustment of there can be an adjustment of expectations while still keeping perspective.
Yeah, I think
Last year,
if you find out the team is not what you thought it was, your preseason expectations are irrelevant. Now, this can be in the case of Auburn, where the team is way worse, and you find out Jackson Arnold's not good. In which case, your preseason expectations don't matter because you were expecting something based on something that turned out to be not true.
Well, they do
You were
matter.
expecting Jackson Arnold to be a 5-star quarterback and to figure it out with Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. Turns out he can't throw a ball.
They do matter though because that's the reason Hugh Freeze got fired.
yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't go, oh well, Jackson Arnold sucks, so Hugh, you get a pass.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sorry. They do matter, but like they do matter, but they also don't.
You just have to keep perspective. Last
That's-
year,
that's the
A&M
only- all I
suddenly
was
is in
trying to
the
do,
in
yeah.
the driver's seat for SEC championship game. We don't make it. Oh man, that sucks. I had adjusted my expectations. However, I'm going to keep perspective. It was year one under Mike Elko. I saw a lot of positive
And
signs.
you were a game away from the SEC
Correct.
championship.
I'm overall not upset. I am disappointed with how the season ended. I wish that didn't happen. I don't ever wish I lose any game. I'm disappointed every time A&M loses. So
Okay. You want to pick this game?
yeah, let's do it.
I guess.
On the bright side, it's 6.5, so it's easy to pick State.
Not at all.
No, you're right. Sorry,
Yeah,
you're supposed to
yeah.
pick Ole Miss in that situation.
We need to pick State because we're gonna move the line. Our
Yeah.
picks here on the show will move the line.
How about we put
hopefully.
every dime we've earned on this podcast into State to cover?
We don't have a dime.
We
Sadly.
Yeah, every penny that we've made.
Yeah, that is tough. We don't really. have
So
much to do.
Sanders and I are tied in the college football pick'em right now.
So do y'all alternate
40
going
and
first?
38. I would
Ooh.
argue since I had the lead last week, it is mine until I'm unseated.
I think that's.
I
fair.
would. I think that's fair.
Dude,
it's-
I'm right there. Y'all,
you
I'm-
are
I'm-
literally right there.
I'm nipping at the
It's
heels.
1 week.
And we picked 10 games this week.
We can't say that in the NFL, sadly. But in the college football, you are still 100% right there. It is anyone's game. As you can see, anyone can have a terrible week.
I'm shooting 25% in the NFL.
Yeah. I was 1-4 last week, and I plan on going 8-2 this week. And I'll start by picking. I'm gonna pick Mississippi State to win the Egg Bowl. I've said a lot, and in fact, I've already said it today in a show that we've done today. I believe in destiny, and I think, given what this program has gone through for the last 4 years, that this is the last 3 years, I should
3,
say.
yep.
This is just a game of destiny, and it would just be the ultimate knife into the chest, pushing it in further, and fully putting you down like a dog, literally. If given everything that Old Piss is going through right now, they are still to win this game here in Starkville on Friday morning. And so I think it is very likely that is the reality that will occur. That is why it's favored.
Yep.
But I refuse to live in that reality. Give me Mississippi State
Sure.
to win the Golden Egg and cover.
Saunders.
I will also pick Mississippi State to win, which means they will cover. I said earlier that like a picture of Kamario Taylor with the Egg Bowl trophy would go hard. That was not me being like, oh, he needs to play. Like
I know. I was just
that
giving you
was
a hard time.
that was just more of a like. It's just gonna be. It would be so cool, and it's gonna be really cool when he does win one eventually, even if it's not this year. But like when he wins one as a starter, just because it'll be such a really cool full circle. See, that is a photo of him with the Egg Bowl trophy. But I swear, do you really think that's from 3 years ago?
He looks a lot smaller.
Do you think
so.
it's that old, or do you think they have a prop?
It could be a prop. Because it's
I
talking about
feel-
him
I
breaking
think
down
it's a-
his decision, and I
Yeah,
feel like if
I
he,
think that's a prop. I think
unless
that
they
is
used an
not the
old
actual Egg Bowl
photo.
trophy. Also, is the actual one not golden? That one's silver.
This was taken definitely a filter. This seems to have been taken October 13th, 2023.
Which would have been
We would have the possession.
yeah,
of
because
the
they won
trophy.
at 23,
True, yeah.
24. Okay, all right. I apologize. So he would
Wow.
have been
shout
a
out Kamaria.
junior.
So it already exists. So it
I'm
already
happy.
is
I'm
set.
happy State's not using a prop Egg Bowl. That'd be really stupid.
It would have been really dumb. That's why I was kind of confused. Anyway, I'm gonna pick us to win because I can't not. I'm so excited. I'm so nervous and terrified. Jack, why don't you give us a pick based on thoughts and not the fact that you're a fan of the team?
Yeah, so I'll start. It is a rivalry and crazy things happen. So I would not be surprised if Mississippi State won this game. That being said, the defensive performances I've seen over the last month give me no faith or hope or comfort that Mississippi State is going to be able to slow down Ole Miss Saturday. And so I'm going to take Ole Miss to win and
Yeah,
cover.
I'm the hater on the
Hater.
show. That's crazy.
I'm going to take Ole Miss to win and cover.
Hater.
I will be cheering very loud for Mississippi State in
Really?
Glasgow, Kentucky.
About to say from a couch.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I got to go to my Thanksgiving.
If
No, you do.
if we win the Egg Bowl, would you cry?
I don't think I'll cry, but there will be a big smile on my face.
Hater.
I won't be able to cry. I'll be working. I kind of wish.
What do you mean you can't cry?
I'll have to. I will have to be so locked in that I won't be able to
You can have a tear just drift down your face.
Yeah.
Hater.
I almost did. I was gonna cry for the Tennessee game. I think I had tears in my eyes.
See, this is why. Again, this is why I continue to make that point. It's Mississippi State. They will always ruin your dreams.
Okay.
I won't even cry if A&M beats Texas.
Why would you? It's expected.
You're favored. Yeah.
But you don't like that's a massive win for the program. That's a rivalry win. A team we've not beaten over a decade.
You've only played them once
A-
in a
a
decade.
team that
That's
ju-
not.
But Arch Manning's buns.
A team that joined our
No, he's
they're
back. Have
they're
you
all
not seen?
online telling us that he's better than Marcel Reed.
There's a lot of people online who are saying
He might be physically more gifted than him as a quarterback throwing the football, which I wouldn't disagree with. But other than that, no, he's not.
Yeah, I mean we're just capping because March Manning stat pads against the bad teams he plays, and Marcel Reed comes out early in the second quarter. We've made
Yeah.
our picks. I've been labeled a hater. We will revisit that topic.
yeah, Tucker said I need to let it out. I may cry. I have no idea how Friday. is
Tucker,
gonna
will you
go.
cry?
No, he's gonna be locked in for the game.
No, he can't until he might.
He might cry if Auburn beats Bama
Yeah, true.
on Saturday.
Tears
I
of
might
sadness.
cry too.
That would
Oh, I do want to say, it's not part of that video, but I do want to say, I will be going to the Iron Bowl if we win the Egg Bowl.
because you'll feel like you've got good juju.
Yes, I will not care about the money that I will spend on that trip.
You'll just be excited.
Very.
Yeah. How much are tickets right now?
$330 is the cheapest ticket.
Are you
Good
going by
luck.
yourself? Or you gonna take
Going
Abby?
with Abby.
Good luck. I think just an engagement present.
Sure. Yeah.
You're gonna be in a,
My parent.
you're
are-
gonna be in trouble taking Abby, and then you're gonna be cheering against Bama.
Yeah.
So best of luck.
But hey, you pay for the tickets.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't feel bad cheering for Oklahoma.
But
Sure.
you kept it subtle for the Iron Bowl. Would you just full send
No,
it?
no, I wouldn't. Even though I love Auburn, I wouldn't do that. I would again just go like I did in the OU Bama game of just like,
Wow.
oh my God,
I can't believe
no
that
way that just happened. Or like when Ty Simpson threw the pick six, and the dude scampered down the sideline. It's on the opposite side of the field, so
Yeah.
like you technically can't tell. But I knew he had fallen into the end zone, got up, and then tossed the ball. And hopefully she's not in the chat. I turned to Abby and I was like, "Wait, did he fumble it out of the end zone?"
No way.
That's so mean.
Yeah, you're such a troll.
So I would do stuff like that.
That is so mean.
But yeah, I'll be at the Iron Bowl if we win.
Tucker said he will not cry if they win because that is the
So
expectation.
that's the right mindset to have.
Yeah.
It's a business trip
Yeah.
for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah. Tucker just
Business trip is crazy.
not emotionally invested. I guess. Who knows?
All right, let's get into clean old fashioned.
Let's get into. That's this one, right?
It is this one.
Cool.
It's kind of weird that this game doesn't actually have playoff implications, really, despite both teams being ranked high. I'd wager to say that Georgia's pretty safely in, even if they lose this game. At this point, this isn't a conference game for Georgia Tech. Stuff would have to break like crazy for them to make it into the ACC championship game.
It would
That's
have to
really
break
the only
like
way they
crazy.
get in. And so even if they win this, they're not going to get an at-large bid. So this is just because of hate.
Yeah.
Good old-fashioned hate.
There is still a scenario
some
where
pride.
Georgia could end up not making it if they lost to Georgia Tech and then made the SEC championship.
The only
and lost.
scenario, yes, I think that's possible.
It's
is
absurd and probably wouldn't happen.
if they lost to Georgia Tech
By
and
70,
they
as
fell
always.
out of the top 10, and the teams that would get the at-large bids, which they probably would, losing to Georgia Tech.
You think they
even
fall the top
even
10?
falling from 4, I think they could fall to 11.
I think that's very unlikely.
That being their second loss of the year, and then they
And
go
this is a road
play
game.
in the SEC championship game and they lose that. Again, if they fall to 11 and they don't play in the SEC championship game, they could be out as well. I think there's a possibility if they fell to 10 and lost the SEC championship game, they'd be moved out.
I think we're making up some dreams and wishes
If they
here.
lost to Georgia Tech and then lost to A&M by 75,
Well, once again, okay, sure.
That's always our go-to is 75. Everyone loses by 75.
I maintain this game largely has no playoff implications, which almost makes it better in a lot of ways because it comes down to pride and hate.
Yeah.
Which is the real root of any rivalry, in that these two teams don't like each other.
Mhm.
I'm sure Georgia Tech hates the way that last year's game went.
Mhm.
They probably have thought about it almost every day since. Haynes King has probably laid in bed at night just thinking, man, one more play. And Georgia probably also they feel lucky that they escaped last year, but they probably don't like how that game went either. They're used to beating up on Georgia Tech. They don't like that they let them hang around. So we go into this game. It's Georgia at Georgia Tech, but it's in Mercedes-Benz. Georgia Tech sold out.
Mhm.
And Georgia's favored by 13.5 in this game. Y'all's thoughts?
For one, just talking about the game, Georgia going into this game, because the only other game that will be played is the Egg Bowl at this point for the weekend, they will not know their fate in the SEC championship prior to kick, because the two games that really matter are the Lone Star Showdown and the Iron Bowl. So they're going to come into this game and play with a ton of passion. Because if, let's say this was Saturday night and the Iron Bowl was in the afternoon, they knew they were in the SEC championship, do you play with as much fire knowing that you're going to play in the SEC championship in that same building a week later? Sanders would probably argue yes, because you care about rivalry games. I'd argue I think you would take a little bit of your foot off the gas, but in this one they have no reason to, because they don't know anything, and they would like to potentially maintain a top 4 spot in a first-round bye. If they're able to beat up on Georgia Tech and that be the last point on their resume, they very well could be in the argument with Texas Tech if Texas Tech were to beat BYU again of who gets that spot. And if Georgia has an impressive victory over Georgia Tech, it's hard to argue that they fall from 4 to 5 if that is what the rankings are going into conference championship weekend. Georgia Tech, like Jack said, is coming off. It's, to put it into perspective, I think it's the most devastating loss in the past decade for the program, and that includes what happened last week. Flip that. That includes what happened last year at Georgia. Last week's loss to Pitt is the most devastating loss in the past decade for this program. All the stakes, ACC championship bid, playoff bid, 1 game away, and the offense just did not show up.
True home game.
In a true home game, yes.
Yeah, that's just like part of like the in front of your home crowd.
Absolutely.
Like everything should be going in your favor.
Sold out crowd at Bobby Dodd.
It's got the Georgia Tech advances to ACC championship with win.
I can't believe they did that. I still won't forgive ESPN for that. And then you follow that up with what happened in last year's game that was also devastating, as well as Jack alluded to. So I expect them to play with a ton of fire as well and try to come out guns blazing offensively. Georgia Tech in their last 3 games are 1-2. 2 losses. In those 2 losses, they had 121 rushing yards and 151 rushing yards. And their lone win in their last 3, they had 257 in that win. Translation, run the damn ball. Malachi Hosley, Jamal Haynes, Haynes King is the route to victory. It was the route to victory last year. It is the only way Georgia Tech wins this game is if they are able to run the ball on Georgia. And so because of that, it is going to get very, very interesting. Georgia, for them, just turn on the Pitt and NC State tape against Georgia Tech. There are so many holes. There are so many big plays. In those 2 games, Pitt had 24 plays of 7 yards or more. NC State had 27. Georgia, you would think maybe you could have 35 in this game. And so I think it could get bad for Georgia Tech, which is why you see the spread at 13.5, and that's why you're scared. You're going to have to hope that they can get the same kind of turnover luck that they got last year. They win the turnover battle and force overtime, which then goes to 8 overtimes, of course. And you remember what I said pretty much every single time, every overtime?
Run the damn
Run the
ball.
ball.
run the damn ball on the
Yeah.
2-point conversions. They didn't, and it ends up losing them the game. They're going to have to run the ball again, of course, in this game. And so I think for the way this plays out, I think both teams are going to have the same game plan, which is going to make this very interesting. I think both teams are going to want to take the air out of the football. For Georgia Tech, they want to limit the possessions in this game by running the ball well so you can maximize the variance. The less possessions in the game, the less times Georgia's offense gets to face your defense.
Minimize the variance.
Maximize the variance. If you play 25 possessions, more often than not, the best team wins out of those 25 possessions.
Yeah.
If you play 7, it could go either way. You play 1 possession, it could go 50-50.
Yeah.
Any way you want.
You're almost maximizing the variance by minimizing the variance.
No, you are minimizing the possessions to maximize the variance.
Correct.
Correct.
Because there's just like less chances.
Why are there less upsets in the NBA playoffs? Because you have to beat a team 4 times.
Correct.
Yeah. There's less variance.
Correct.
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
minimizing the variance.
No. Because there's maximum possessions in that. You're playing 7 games. That's maximum games. In this case, Georgia Tech needs to limit the possessions, limit it to a 1-game series to maximize the variance.
Wait. Oh. I think I see what he's saying.
I do see what he's saying. I think I'm just like,
The variance being the winner. So the
Correct.
variance
Yes.
in a large number of possessions, there is very little variance in the winner. It's
And-
primarily going to be the
which
better
is,
team.
Yeah.
If you play less possessions, there's greater variance in potential outcome because. Okay, man, I'm there now. I got there.
I mean, it's late at night, so I'll give you all a break on that. But that is, yes, that is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what Georgia Tech needs to do. On the flip side, I think Georgia is going to do what they've done all year, which is try to have those long, tantalizing drives where they limit the possessions so you force Georgia Tech into being forced to throw the football. Get the lead early, force Haynes King to throw the ball because they're running out of time and running out of possessions. When you limit the amount of time in a game and you're in the lead, the opposing team is going to be pressed. You get away from the run game almost immediately, and it can really hurt you. Because of that, I think this could be a potential. If Georgia tries to run their long, tantalizing drives, which they're more successful than not on, if Georgia Tech just gets one little turnover luck on one of those drives, I think this is a game Georgia Tech has a good chance in. Y'all have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with basically everything you said. I also will say Georgia Tech is susceptible to turnovers as well. So you play that game, and suddenly you're the team that has that one turnover.
Yep.
Haynes King throws that pick 6 last week. He does something like that. A fumble happens. But Georgia just has to be watching film, licking their chops at what teams have done,
Yeah.
what offenses have done against Georgia Tech recently. Now the question is, can you go out there and execute? Because I think if they go execute their offense, Georgia Tech's defense just doesn't have a chance. And then it becomes, can Georgia Tech offense play perfect to keep them in this game and have a chance to win?
Yes.
And they could. I do think we've seen a lot of defensive improvement from Georgia over the past couple of weeks. That scares me a little bit if I'm Georgia Tech. That being said, you do have the horses to establish a run game in spite of that. But it is just a concern. It's just like there's an avenue I see where Georgia does shut down Georgia Tech's offense. I don't really see an avenue where Georgia Tech shuts down Georgia's offense. Georgia could shut down Georgia's offense. Georgia Tech's not shutting down Georgia's offense.
Sure.
But, man, it should just be an absolute grind of a game. I think we're going to see a ton of Chauncey Bowens, Nate Frazier, Gunnar Stockton will run it some, and then the exact same on the other side as well. And the last thing I have, if you're Georgia, just don't let Haynes King beat you. Don't be in the spot where you look up in the fourth quarter and he has 20 rushes for 150 yards,
Yeah.
and he's converted every third down on QB power possible. Just don't end up there, and I think you'll be in good shape. Anything, Sanders?
No.
All right, well, we can get into picking this game. I'm going to go ahead and make the prediction that whoever gets, and if they maintain it for at least one possession, the lead first will win this game. So I think whoever strikes first and then is able to maintain that lead for at least one possession when they get the ball back and they still have the lead with that possession will win this game. So let's say Georgia Tech scores on the first drive. Georgia goes down, kicks a field goal. I think Georgia Tech wins
That's great. Wait.
because I think they'll be able to run
Okay,
the
so
ball.
what if no? Okay, so if Georgia Tech doesn't score and Georgia doesn't score, Georgia Tech scores, gets the ball back, still has the lead. You think Georgia Tech wins?
Correct.
So it's not. So the first team,
Regardless of when it
the
happens.
first team to have a lead and maintain it for possession.
Yes,
wins.
will win this game, and that is the key to it. I think that's what you look for.
I'll agree with that because I think Georgia's going to get the lead first, and I think Georgia's going to win. So, sure.
Well, good thing you weren't stealing from my pick. I'm gonna take Georgia Tech to cover the spread. I won't pick against Buzz, but I will pick Georgia and ride the fence. So I am picking for both of my teams at this point. Georgia, my SEC champ, and Georgia Tech, Buzz.
Sure.
Give me GT to cover the 13.5. That feels like too many points for the game of this magnitude. I get Georgia has the high offensive output, but 13.5 also screams backdoor cover.
I'll take Georgia to cover. That's also a backdoor cover for Georgia, right? If they're up 7 and they go down and score a touchdown, and then Georgia Tech doesn't answer.
That would be a backdoor cover.
Yeah, it feels a little less backdoory because if it's like really that late, they probably just kneel it out.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it's still backdoor. I'm also gonna take Georgia. I hate taking big spreads in rivalry games, but I just despise what I've seen defensively from Georgia Tech, and I really like the way Georgia's playing down the stretch. I think they've really gelled and found something. And
Do you
they're
think
just
this could be another situation where
well-oiled machine? Go ahead.
Georgia scores on like every possession like they did against Ole Miss?
Yeah, I think it'll be a thing if they score on all but one. So
I will be shocked if they score on every possession just because it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
True.
yeah, I mean that's very fair.
Yeah, there'll probably be a fumble or who knows, something crazy happen.
A text I just got from my wife. I'm weak-willed and evil. To which I said, "What did you do?" And she goes, "Broke open the Twizzlers at like 5." For context, we leave for Kentucky tomorrow, and I bought Twizzlers to eat in the car. So that is
No.
her. Yeah, that's crazy. She broke open the Twizzlers.
Break up with her.
I know, it's divorce incoming.
Yeah, that is a huge red flag right there.
Weak-willed and evil.
And she's not even in the live stream to respond, which is crazy.
I know. I just aired her out.
Imagine she did. I just saw the video of Josh Hubbard's and 1-3. That was an offensive foul. He kicked his leg out so bad.
They didn't call
we
it.
agree.
So
I didn't have a great angle of it live, and so I didn't know what y'all were talking about. But just seeing it now, that's a pretty egregious
Greg Sankey made a call.
leg kick.
Respect.
Jack, you want to do your team, or do you want to save your team for last?
We
It is-
can do my team.
It isn't. It's at a.
It's the Friday game, so we
Yeah.
just kind of been rolling through the Friday games.
Yep.
So we can do it. The Friday night nightcap is the Lone Star Showdown. The second year it's been back since Texas joined the SEC. Texas is 1-0 in the SEC versus SEC matchups. Won last year in Kyle Field. Now A&M has a chance to go get revenge in DKR, and they are 2.5-point favorites. It's a huge game. A&M's trying to make the SEC championship for the first time ever. Realistically, they have to win this game to make it. There's a chance if both Ole Miss and Bama lose, they still make it. The odds there just aren't great, though. So just go win this game. You control your own destiny. And then for Texas, you win this game, and suddenly you make the, hey, we beat 4 top 10 teams. Like, I know we've lost 3 games, but we're in the SEC. Like, you can't leave us out. And, there'll be a lot of petitioning. Petitioning is not really the right word, but, like, pleading your case.
Did you
if
say
you're
they
Texas.
played or beat 4 top 10 teams?
Beat.
Texas has beat A&M. They beat Oklahoma. They beat
Vandy.
Vandy was with a 9, I guess, at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they beat.
I heard the stat, so either we're just forgetting someone or the stat was wrong.
I bet we're forgetting somebody. It sounded really high at the time. I wasn't trying to like put you on a spot. I was just
No, that's
like,
fine.
I got a different stat for that though, but we'll get into it later.
Sure.
who is the last team? I'm pulling it up. This is I did not mean to put a kink in the conversation.
Well, now I'm just curious. So
The
I'm
teams
just,
that they've played this year,
The top 10 teams. They beat
Ohio
4 top.
State.
They didn't beat Ohio State.
Well, they've only beaten 2 teams that are inside the top 10 this year. They've played 4.
Vanderbilt,
They've beat OU and Oklahoma, who were
Oh,
6
it would
and
be.
9.
Would it be the fourth?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, Oklahoma.
It would be the third.
I think it's just the fourth. Well, they played Georgia.
It would be the 5th time.
But they
played
didn't
the
beat
top
Georgia.
10.
So I
Yeah.
guess the stat was just wrong then. They'd have 3 top 10 wins, 2 of their losses would be the top 10 teams.
The stat came from MSU Barstool.
Probably. No, they're too busy crying about the state of the athletics and how their expectations are too high. Anyway, Texas would have a chance as an at-large if they won this game. But really, for Texas, this boils down to maybe we didn't have the season we want, and A&M has had kind of their dream season. But if we win this, we have the ultimate trump card anytime A&M fans try and say anything. Oh, and y'all's best season in decades, we still beat you. That's kind of what's on the line. And A&M has
Yeah.
a chance to, in that, and any chance of a Texas at-large bid, we actually make Texas 8-4.
Yeah.
Which is just beautiful if that happened. Like you could not write a better script for this game. A&M is favored by 2.5, and I'll get into my key points in this game. We typically kick it to y'all first, but this
You got it.
is my team.
Go ahead.
For Texas. Can all 3 levels of the defense perform? Can you tackle? Can you get after Marcel Reed? Can you stop the run? You've been great at stopping the run all season. Unfortunately, Le'Veon Moss will not be back for this game, despite kind of the expectation being since the injury he would be back at some point in the regular season.
Central Michigan legend.
He's probably not going to play, which really hurts. But you have to perform at all 3 levels because A&M's offense can beat you in so many different ways. So if the secondary on the backside is slacking, we'll hit the explosive plays over the top. If the defensive line and linebackers don't come to play, we'll run for over 200 yards on you. All 3 levels have to be prepared to play. Another big key, O-line has really struggled to protect Arch. They've kind of combated that by quick passing, screen plays. Are the screen plays going to work? The A&M linebackers have been great all season on diagnosing and flying to the ball in screen plays, and then can the DBs tackle in the screen plays? Because then if you do that, put them in 3rd and long. I love the Cassius Howe, Cersei, Rylan Kennedy, Hicks, DJ Hicks. I love our chances to get after Arch, especially with the blitzes. We bring Dalton Brooks, safety, flying in. I just think we can. That's a matchup we can exploit. And so Texas needs to not be in passing downs where the O-line has to protect Arch because they've not been good all season.
Weren't good at Good State.
Correct. And then can you capitalize on the Marcel Reed pick? At this point, Reed's good for either a bad decision or a badly thrown ball that leads to a pick. So when that happens, can you catch the pick for one thing? And then also, can you turn into 7 points? Can you make it a big momentum play? Or do you just give us the ball right back? How does that factor in?
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, he's going to have one. Guarantee it.
Oh, 100%.
Guarantee it. At least one.
A terrible one, too.
Yeah, I mean, even like, think Notre Dame game, he throws the one on the sideline where it's just like, I don't hate the idea, but like you're just not thinking about like what the matchup is. You're throwing it to wide receiver 3 1-on-1. It's Ashton Beth the Roman. He's not broken out yet. You had multiple in the South Carolina game, but the one in the end zone where you have Mario Craver on the corner route and you underthrow him by 5 yards, so you just throw it right to the DB.
He
Stuff
had the
like
one
that.
against State where he just floated it 5 yards over a guy's head.
Correct.
As soon as it left his hand, I said pick.
Yep. The LSU game, he threw 2. One wasn't really his fault, but the other one, he just doesn't see the guy over the middle at all and just zips it right to him. It's a big momentum play.
Yeah.
So can you capitalize on that? For A&M, you're averaging 40-plus points on the road, and the lowest you've scored is 38 at Missouri this season. Can
It's
you
diabolical.
that is ridiculous. That's insane. It's legitimately insane. Can you get anywhere close to that number?
Yeah.
I don't need 38 from you. Can you break 30-plus? Do kicking woes haunt them? Randy Bond missed multiple against South Carolina. Suddenly, it's another kicker against Samford. And now at Samford, he misses his first kick of the day. He goes 2 for 3. If we have to kick a crucial field goal late, I think my head will be between my knees. I may have to pull up reel and do a JP.
I would suggest you do that. It is so much better.
Because I just don't trust that at all.
I would do it at the Egg Bowl if the sport wasn't just right in front of my eyes.
If you could.
Yeah.
If there's any way to see the future.
Maybe
for
we
a
can get
couple
you a
seconds.
phone. You could just call, hey, are you going to make this? Just let me know beforehand.
Yeah,
Are you going
yeah.
to make this? Or are you going to miss it?
I just turn around, hear the crowd reaction.
And not just kicking woes, but in a couple of the biggest games we've had punts blocked. Notre Dame LSU game. Can't have stuff like that happen. Special teams have to be great. Even factors into the return game. They have Ryan Niblett. We have Casey Conception. who wins that battle. Just don't punt the ball to Ryan Niblett, please.
Yeah.
Last year, the short yardage run for A&M was shut down in this matchup, completely shut down. And Texas front seven's great again, so I don't expect tons of success here. But when we need it the most, can we get a 3rd and 1? Can we be the one that wins that matchup this year?
Mm-hmm.
Can we create explosives like we've done all season? Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, even some big run plays. Maybe Marcel Reed breaks one. Taylon Green gave him some issues last week. Marcel Reed's not Taylon Green. I'm not trying to say that, but there is still some of that same dynamic there. Can we find explosives? And I've already touched on this. You have to tackle. Texas literally run the same play to start the last 4 games, which is a screen pass to Ryan Wingo. And it's worked like 3 of the 4 weeks, and it almost worked against the Georgia. In the Georgia game, too, he just kind of gets tripped up.
Yeah.
It was really close to being an immediate explosive play. That's just kind of a taste of what's to come in the game. You're going to have to tackle in space. Texas's weapons have been a little inconsistent, but one thing's for sure, they're very fast and they are explosive. If you give them a chance and make a mistake, they will make you pay. So tackle, tackle, tackle. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
I want to give just perspective on it, and then some
Yeah, go
X's
ahead.
and O's from a non-Aggie fan. But gig 'em on Friday night
Gig 'em and horns down.
and horns down. I agree. Look, all last year leading up to this game, we knew it was going to be big. Throughout last year, we felt that A&M was outmatched coming into that game, and that they needed a few things to go their way to win. They needed their defense to play well, and they needed the home crowd to carry them the whole night. This year, coming into the season, the public thought Texas would be better than A&M, of course. I mean, they were number 1 in the country to start the year. But since about week 4, the script is completely flipped. And so for me, this becomes the exact same story as last year with the teams flipped. And it's ironic. Texas now, their only chance to make the playoff is to make a statement against A&M, and they will have to rely on a few things to go their way. Their defense and the crowd to carry them all night. Really ironic. It's almost the exact same story as last night. Characters are just different, and the teams have flipped. A&M playing for the SEC championship spot, as Jack said, win and in. If they lose and Bama wins, they're out as an 11-1 team, which is just it's insane. Elko was asked about that in his press conference, and he said I think he gave. It's one of my favorite answers he's ever given. He said, well, unfortunately, that's just how the schedule worked out this year, that we were playing the bottom teams in the SEC, essentially.
Yeah, he was almost like you can't be mad at it because
Exactly.
it helped us in a lot of ways, so we just got to go finish.
And I love that response of the coach being openly able to admit that the schedule was not as tough as other teams in the SEC, while still admitting that it was difficult in nature altogether. Texas, I think you talked about A&M averaging 40-plus points on the road. I think you got a chance to do that again. Texas's defense has been exposed every single week after the Kentucky game. The opposing team is averaging 35 points per game and 434 yards per game. Funny enough, the best they did against a team yardage-wise was Georgia. Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and State all did better, had more yards against Texas than Georgia's offense did. It has been a bad showing for their defense, but they could flip it in one night very easily with the defensive players that they have. They
Sure.
flipped it in one damn quarter against State.
Yeah.
The stat I think you were trying to talk about, but I have a different one on it. Texas against top 5 teams this year are 0-2. Of course, A&M is ranked number 3. Against teams that are ranked, they are 6-10, or not 6-10. They've played 2 teams that are number 6 and number 9, and they are 2-0 against those teams, Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. Texas at home, I think, is a critical part to this, and I'll be really curious if A&M can consistently put up points like they have on the road. They haven't lost since last year against Georgia, and prior to that, you have to go back to 2022 when they lost to number 1 Bama in the big noon kickoff with Bryce Young, a game where Quinn Ewers gets hurt, and then number 4 who beat them in DKR that year as well. Number 4 team in the country made the playoff that year, 2022.
Alabama.
Alabama was one of the
Yeah.
teams.
Oh,
But-
sorry.
Made the playoffs in 2022.
TCU.
Yeah, let's say
TCU.
TCU. Yeah, it had to be.
TCU is the last loss since the Georgia loss at home for Texas. They've been really, really good at home, albeit against some kind of Weasley competition, but they did play number 9 Vanderbilt this year, so they deserve a little bit of credit there. X's and O's wise, third down obviously is going to be one of the biggest ones of them. A&M is number 1 in the country in terms of percentage, allowing just a conversion on 21.7% of third downs. So Texas is going to have to find success in the ground game. They're not going to find that, but they're going to instead going to have to find success in the extension of it, which is their screen game, and they're going to have to find more manageable third downs, or Arch is going to get lit up all night. A big one that Texas needs to continue the trend on. Texas is plus 10 on the turnover margin, and in large part due to Marcel Reed, A&M is minus 5 this year in the turnover margin. Even with that defense, they are losing the turnover battle consistently. Texas is going to have to do that again, I think, to have a chance in this game. Penalties, it will be a big one, and I think it'll be whoever avoids it. Will the Cabo Fund continue to go up? Will Texas continue to commit penalties? Both of these teams are bottom 20 in the country in penalty yardage per game. In fact, both of the teams are worse than Mississippi State.
Not where you want to be.
Not where you want to be at all. You wouldn't expect that. In terms of the Jimmies and the Joes, as some people would say, I think the key matchup is twofold. For one, it is Texas A&M's DBs, Desrex, Will Lee, against Texas's wide receivers, which is what you alluded to, tackling in space, Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, Parker Livingstone. They haven't been great all of this year, but they are fast and they are tough. They can be very tough covers. We found that out in the fourth quarter and overtime in the state game where they just started consistently winning one-on-ones. I'm really curious, though, and this is the second part of that fold. Can someone like – is Torian York going to play?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
good.
Torian York and Cassius Howell, will they get involved in that screen game? I think that is a key part to Texas A&M is will Cassius Howell be able to recognize immediately when Arch is going to that screen and just blow it up? I think we're going to see 2 or 3 of those kinds of plays.
We just hope, too, we drop him in coverage some. So,
Yes.
like, if the coaching staff can kind of have him ready for it, and then he diagnoses it. Torian York, it's one of the best parts about his game. I hope he continues. I'll say that, and he'll have a dud. But he's the green dot, and him and Scooby, who I don't even know if Scooby will play because of injury.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they just fly to screens.
It's the key to stopping the Texas offense because I do think Texas's defense will put up some kind of fight. They're not going to get up 35 points, but their offense is still, I think, going to have to get to 30. I think A&M gets around 28. Yeah. And my final one is this is not going to be a game to get up and go to the bathroom and grab some leftovers from Thanksgiving. When you see a team not convert on third down, stay in your chair. Casey Concepcion, Ryan Niblett have both been one of the most electric punt returners in the country for both of their teams, and they could potentially swing the entire game with one punt return in this game. So for punters in this game, punt it away from them, punt it out of bounds. I don't care if it's a 25-yard punt. Keep it away from them because they can impact the game entirely, and they've done that all season. I think of Casey had one in the Missouri game, if I'm not mistaken.
He had a
LSU
return in the
game.
Missouri game, but he did
game.
have the touchdown in the LSU game, and he had one against UTSA as well.
Yes, the LSU game, and then, of course, Ryan Niblett had his against OU and then here in Starkville. But that's it for X's and O's, and we can get into picking this game. A&M is a 2.5-point favorite at Texas in the Lone Star Showdown. I'm picking A&M to cover 2.5. If this spread was bigger, I think I'm all over Texas.
Sure.
Just because, given their precedent, I think they'll show up to some large degree. But Sark, and I didn't have this stat ready, but I wish I did. I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's 2-7 now against top 5 opponents at Texas. Texas A&M is number 3 in the country. That seems like a good enough trend to go ahead and take A&M to cover 2.5.
Yeah.
Gig 'em.
I'll go ahead and go. I think I'm going to go with Texas in this one. That's a kind of a weird pick. The reason I pick it is it has the vibes of like a Michigan-Ohio State from last year written all over it, where Ohio State last year was one of the best teams in the country, turned out to be the best team in the country. A&M is up there this year, the number 3 team in the country, undefeated. I could see them kind of pulling an Ohio State stumble down the stretch. It really does suck that this is the year where you have the better team and you have to go to Austin to play them after last year, hoping that
I relish it.
I mean, no, that is if you win it, it's great, but it makes it a lot harder to win it. And so I'm gonna pick that Texas team was more talented than you last year. I think it's about equal now. Texas hasn't played up to that talent. A&M has played up to their talent this year, and so I think I'll pick Texas to utilize the wide. Like A&M knows what's going to happen, and I still think Texas is going to be able to do not whatever they want to do, but do enough to win the game at home.
Wow.
Hater.
All right.
I just it feels like
I think if Texas wins this game, it's going to be because their defense really limits us and we shoot ourselves in the foot. I think our defense will know what they want to do and limit it fairly well. They may have a couple explosive. They'll still score some. But I've seen our defense limit opponents all year, aside from the Notre Dame game and I guess the Arkansas game. But, like, the Arkansas game just, like, I don't know. I guess maybe we don't perform, but I trust the unit we have over there and the horses we have on that side of the ball.
is this the third best offense y'all have faced this year? State, Missouri,
Arkansas.
Samford.
Arkansas, Notre Dame.
That's what I said. Arkansas, Notre Dame. I'm listing the other teams.
Okay,
Excuse me.
gotcha.
So State, Missouri are both, I would say, with a hurt Prbula, and that offensive line.
They're probably the third best offense we
Offense.
face, but also what I was going to get to my last point before I pick it is, like, this is a hot and cold Texas offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they feed off momentum. So come out hot, Texas A&M. I think if you can make them feel a little uneasy, get a couple, maybe you hit Arch hard early. Cassius Howe gets around the edge, does his ghost move, gets a sack, and you kind of throw them off. And I think they're going to struggle to get going. Now, y'all saw in the State game, if you let them get going, then it's scary. They really feel themselves.
Yep.
But I just think if we can not let them get going, we're in great shape. I'm going to take A&M here because why would I not? I take them regardless, but also if I'm thinking logically, I think A&M wins this game and the spread's 2.5. So why would I not pick A&M to cover that? Go finish. It's been the word of the year for us considering how last season ended.
I thought grind was the word of the year.
The grind's like the program motto.
Okay.
But the word of the year is finish. Elko said it a ton. At almost every press conference it comes up. And you can tell it means a ton. I watched his press conference today. The air was tight. His answers were short. He was a little testy.
Yeah.
He clearly is locked in and ready to roll.
It was
only one thing on his mind.
I've watched a good amount of his press conferences this year. It was one of the first that wasn't really cheery. Like
He's a guy that'll crack jokes, and there was
yes,
none of that.
I think there was one joke the entire time, and because he said he would make fun of a player for a special teams play last week.
Our returner got tackled by the kicker,
Yes,
and he
that's
said
right.
he was going to make sure to mention that in the press conference.
Yes, but this year he's been really cheery, and it has been really. You don't see it often because not a lot of teams just go undefeated and then also have a ton of positivity around them. Because like even Ohio State has gone undefeated, but because Ryan Day continues to lose to Michigan, there's angst there, and then they just don't look pretty enough, and you have the questions about Jeremiah Smith and everything. But Elko and A&M have obviously exceeded expectations, but they continue to win, and so the press conference is always a positive one. And it's never really a questioning of what occurred last weekend, although there's a little bit of that in the South Carolina one, rightfully so, but they got the job done in the second half. I agree. It actually finally felt like he is at least really, really motivated for this game on Friday, and I think they're going to show that.
I agree. So far this season, every time we have to make a play or get something done, we've done it, and that just kind of feels, I think it starts with Elko, and so this could be a big, like, oh, I'm wrong moment. Like, he doesn't have what it takes to, like, truly be that elite killer of a coach, but he's done it so far this season, so I'm going to trust it and trust an A&M to really come out fiery. Cool. We can move on, though, to the game.
The game.
Let me put. Oh yeah, I got your pick in there. So yeah, we're good to go.
All I'm doing thinking about this game. We're about to preview it. Is imagining what chaos ensues if Michigan wins a fifth straight rivalry game against Ohio State. They're 9.5-point dogs. That's a lot, but heck, they were 20-point dogs last year and they got the job done. So that's like first things first for me. Is I'm just going to a happy place, and I'm not even trying to hate on Ohio State, but I just love college football and I love chaos and I love rivalries. Like, what ensues if Michigan pulls this off again? It's a tough task. Ohio State's been phenomenal. They're my number one team in the country. I've been high on them all year, so don't call me a hater because I really have been high on them. And Michigan's offense has been hot and cold. The defense isn't as good as it has been in the past. It's had some issues, and that's why the spread is 9.5. But crazier things have happened, and in some ways it kind of feels like Ohio State has a monkey on their back, and maybe they come out tight for this game. They come out nervous even though they're so good, and Michigan takes advantage of that. But y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah, like you said, Michigan's won 4 in a row. They were 20.5-point dogs last year and shocked the eventual champs with the quarterback who had gone through leukemia, if I'm not mistaken. And they ended up beating Ohio State.
I'm not laughing at that he had leukemia. I'm laughing at the absurdity of the fact that he was the QB that won him the game.
It's a part of the
I'm
story.
anti-leukemia, I promise.
Absolutely, as we all are here at Dental. I won't speak for Sanders.
I mean, he's a hater. He may be... I mean, you've yet to heard him
I am
deny
100% against leukemia,
Okay,
guys.
that's fair.
I'll
Good.
just put that out there.
Look, the winner goes to the Big Ten championship game to play Indiana. If you don't know, Michigan win this game, and Ohio State doesn't play in the Big Ten championship. We've talked about it for not just we here at Technical Foul, but much of college football has talked about Ohio State, Indiana. That's the game we're on a collision course for. Michigan can just wrap that up and throw that away and head themselves up to Indianapolis. I guess I should say down to Indianapolis to play Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. I think one of the big questions off the bat is we're talking about, like discourse with Ryan Day, which him getting fired is 100% on the board after winning a national championship if they were to lose to Michigan again this year. But I think one of my first reactions and my questions was, does a Michigan win guarantee that they are in the playoff?
Where are they at right now?
They right now sit at 18, I should say, in last week's college football playoff poll.
And who's at 10? Like who's the first team they'd have to jump?
The first team they'd have to jump is Bama, if I'm not mistaken, and then they would have to jump either Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Oregon. But the question is, where do you put Ohio State? Because they have to be ahead of Ohio State probably with the head-to-head, even though that they have the 2 losses.
No, Ohio State would fall to like
3.
4. Yeah, 3 or 4.
They've fall to
And Michigan would be lucky to sneak inside the top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
They have. I mean, I would argue Michigan has 2 pretty competitive losses.
I will say, so can we just kind of, Georgia Tech lost, so Michigan is at 17. USC lost, so Michigan is at 16. Texas did not lose.
They're at 16. Let's
Yeah,
say.
I think I'd safely say I don't think that their win. Who do they play? Probably it was a Big Ten team. So Maryland,
number 1 team in the country.
No. I'm talking about like I'm trying to think where they are this week. So they're at 16. I don't think that they're gonna jump.
You don't think they'll jump to 10?
I think they will because they'll have the best
And
win.
you think Ohio State will drop to 11 from number 1?
Well, maybe not. Ohio State has to drop, but they at least get into 10.
I think they will be in the field. I think the committee will basically find a way to make it happen because you just beat the number 1 team in the country. And they talk about quality losses all the time.
Yeah.
They're not bad losses. They don't have
at
bad
OU
losses.
and at USC.
I will say,
But go ahead.
if Ohio State looks bad, so it depends on how the game goes. If we see some of the things that we haven't had to see from Ohio State, because I feel like other than the Oregon game, they haven't truly been tested. They're kind of tested in
They
not
haven't even
Oregon. They
played
didn't play
Oregon,
Oregon.
yeah.
Who did they play? They played
Oklahoma. Or are you talking about Ohio State?
Ohio State. They played Texas.
And Washington.
And that's it.
Washington. Thank you. Not Oregon. So they played Texas, and then since then, we haven't seen them pushed in any manner. And so if they come out against Michigan and they
Because
get
of their own
pushed,
doing.
because what?
Because of their own doing.
Because they're They're pretty elite.
Yes.
Yes, no, they are elite. But if they come out and they struggle against Michigan and some of the things that we just haven't had to see from them, we see don't work, then I could see Michigan potentially being ranked above them. Maybe they jump up to like 8 and Ohio State's at 9, or they're at 7 and Ohio State's at 8. That is the only way I see that happening.
I just don't see it happening because of their own logic with this whatever the heck a competitive pool is. I think they can just drop Ohio State to like 4 or 5. Then
think that's more
Michigan's at
likely.
like 10, and then it's like, well, yeah, the head's there, but they're not close enough for us to really think about it yet.
I don't think you're guaranteed for Ohio State to just drop to 4 or 5. Bama dropped from 4 to 10.
Yeah, Bama
That's
already
a
had another loss.
6-spot drop. I understand that, but they also lost to a really competitive team around the same ranking in Oklahoma.
And if you're going to talk about head-to-heads, then you go, oh, but Oklahoma's right there. Michigan lost to Oklahoma, so then like we have to do this whole thing of
then it
like
should be OU, Michigan, Ohio State. Potentially, look, I
Ohio
think
State out of the playoffs? Is that what you're saying?
regardless of whatever
if Michigan
y'all
beats Ohio
believe,
State, they
if
should
Michigan
be in the
beats
playoffs.
Ohio State, they should be in the top 10. And then I think the precedent will take over that if they lose to Indiana, a 10-3 Michigan will be in the playoff as the 10 seed.
This is a playoff game for Michigan.
Otherwise, they'd have to shock me like the Georgia scenario where they are sitting there at 10 and they fall out because someone below them advances in, whether it's like BYU wins the Big 12. That could throw a wrench in all of that. I think Michigan, I think this, once again, is a playoff play-in game,
Completely agree.
which is something that we've had 3 out of the last 4 years in this game, even going back to the 4-team model. It feels like, for Ohio State X's and O's wise, saying, given the road environment that Ohio State is going to be in with Julian Sayin and his first the game start, that Ohio State's going to start running the ball and they're going to lean on the run. This year they ran the ball 53.4% of the time. I compared that to last year because a lot of the reaction to last year's game was Ohio State went away from what they were good at, throwing the football. They leaned too much on the run. The box score doesn't necessarily say that, but they were identical coming into last year's the game as they are this year. 53.4% of the time, they run the football. It's the exact same with Julian Sayin as it was with Will Howard and those dynamic backs last year. I think it felt like they got into last year's game and tried to run the ball early, and that's the big reaction for it. They ran it 26 times for 77 yards. At that point in the season, they were averaging 177 yards per game, and so Michigan will probably need something like that. This year, they are averaging 160 on the ground, and they are very much relying on Sayin to have good passing days and, of course, the defense to carry them. Their defense has been nothing but historic, giving up just 9 touchdowns all season, still more passing touchdowns than Mark Gronowski. Michigan has the 10th best rushing offense, and Jordan Marshall, their second-string running back, is likely to start after not playing last week, but Justice Haynes is still likely out for the regular season and would not return unless they played in the playoff. I don't think he'd play next week in the Big Ten championship game either. And more bad news, as their fullback, Max Bredesen, and I apologize if I butchered his name,
Sorry, Max.
he's out for this game as well. Fullback, that's your lead blocker, and they use him a ton with their big sets, and that could end up impacting this game if you don't have one of your best blockers on guys like Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. Michigan hasn't lost at home this year, but the best opponent they've played by far at home is just Washington, and that was in a big new kickoff game. This is Michigan's 6th home game of the year in Game 12. That is kind of unprecedented. They played 5 road games in the Big Ten, and they also played 1 game on the
Wow.
road
Yeah.
outside of it at OU. They've played 6 road games, 5 home games. This will be their 6th
The crowd will be fired up.
home game.
I can't wait.
So the crowd will be fired up. They've got a shortened season. For Michigan, I think Andrew Marsh, Donovan McCulley dictate the story for Michigan. And I think overall wide receiver play is what it'll be. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate versus Donovan McCulley and Andrew Marsh. I think the larger takeaway people will potentially have is Sayin versus Bryce Underwood in this game, potentially, if they compete at the same level, or if Bryce just outcompetes Sayin in a big way. It'll be
Oh,
a
man.
huge
Yeah.
statement against that Ohio State defense. and it can only really propel his career forward.
Sure.
So it's a really, really big moment for Bryce Underwood as the true freshman, building off of what they have to look forward to next year. The fact that they're even here at this point in the year, I think, is really, really a testament
They've done a good job.
to how well they've played. They haven't really been challenged a ton in a huge bunch of big games, especially at home. But this is the game. They've won this 4 games in a row. All the mojo's leaning towards them.
They're
And
playing with
so-
house money, too, in a lot of ways. Like, talking about
100%.
mojo leaning their way.
Ohio State has to go out there. They have to handle the business. They have to play the really good defense. But I think for them, it is really on how does Julian Sayin handle the crowd environment, handle the moment. Does he get antsy? Does the completion percentage go from 80% to 60%?
Yeah.
Does he throw a pick in this game? I think those are all critical factors. And for me, all the pressure is on Julian Sayin, but all the stuff to gain is for Bryce Underwood in Michigan.
Yeah. A couple of key points for me. Last year's score was 13-10. I think Michigan needs something similar to that
Yeah.
again. I just don't see any way that you put up big points on this Ohio State defense because
Yeah.
no one has, and it's not even like Michigan's offense has been doing it to other teams. So I think the defense is really going to have to come in. The Sayin piece is huge because this is this is the highest stakes game he's played in so far. I know the Texas game was huge, but this is on the road. Y'all can't beat these guys all of a sudden. You're going to be the savior. You're the guy that's been tasked with lifting the curse, so to speak.
And they protected him in that game. They only threw the ball 20
Exactly what I was
times.
about to say. Sayin was not the reason they won that game.
Absolutely.
And so if you get into a situation where Sayin has to win you this game, how does that go? Plus, I know Jeremiah Smith and Tate were like rested last week, but they definitely aren't 100%. So like that's why they were rested. They were held out as a precaution. Are they back to 100%? Or are they still going to be a little banged up, a little limpy? How does that factor in? Michigan's the 10th best offense in rush yards per game. I would say you're going to need every bit of that, but you're not going to get every bit of that.
Definitely not.
So what can you find in the run game? And then can offensive playmakers that haven't really been great, though Marsh has come on late, can receivers make plays to help Bryce Underwood? And the last thing I want to say, Bryce Underwood's a true freshman playing the best defense in the country, a historically great defense, great defensive mind in Matt Patricia. This may be a lot of people's like first time watching Bryce Underwood. Regardless of what happens, let's relax. No, I don't need to see any takes after the game if Bryce Underwood has a bad day of like, top quarterback in the country for what?
Bryce
This-
Underwood fat.
Yeah, this is what he's done? Like, exactly. Like, I just don't, that's just not helpful, and I think it's untrue, and you're just taking away credit from Ohio State at that point and taking away what Bryce Underwood's done the rest of the season at this point.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we're going to see that. I just wish I wasn't.
The only true freshman I can think of who performed in those kind of bright lights would be like Trevor Lawrence. I guess Tua did it when he got thrown in that national
National
championship. But
I'll-
like
I'll allude to that game
Yeah.
in just a second.
true freshman getting, and not that Bryce Underwood's been thrown in; he's been starting the whole season. But it's just a different. It's tough.
Johnny Manziel.
Not
Red
a true
shirt.
freshman; he's a red shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But like,
Tough.
it's not the standard for freshmen to come in and just take the world by storm and play dominant offensive play.
Especially when your best running back is out and then your best receiver is a fellow freshman
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
it was like a fairly highly rated recruit, but no one was really talking about him as like a day one contributor.
No.
Like, watch out for Andrew Marsh. Like, he's going to go crazy this year.
I think a large part of that, it was shown in, not that it's a big source, but in our college football fantasy league, where we have 16 teams, Andrew Marsh wasn't picked in this year's draft.
You got him like week 5 or
I
6?
got him like week 5 or 6 off waivers.
That's crazy.
Because I went to go find him and you had beat me to it, which
Yeah.
is sad, but well done by you.
Appreciate it. That yes, like you're saying, nothing was expected for him in that case. Getting into the picking this game, this game is always turned largely due to turnovers. Michigan has won the turnover battle many of these years, and then I think a huge one for Michigan when they shocked Ohio State at the shoe 3 years ago, or I should say, I guess that would have been 3 years ago. They had a huge cap buster run, a huge run from Donovan Edwards, future cover athlete
Oh yeah,
of the college football
what a fall off,
video
man.
game, massive fall off. It became a curse, sadly. But Travis Hunter did win the Heisman, so not so much. I think Michigan needs something like that. I think they need Jordan Marshall to pop a 70-yard touchdown run somewhere in this game.
Sure.
And like you said, Jack, I think it's going to have to be a game where they win it 16-13, something like that. They kick 3 field goals and then score the 1 touchdown. Because Ohio State, it's given up just 9 touchdowns this year. And it's not like Michigan's offense. It's Tennessee's offense coming in to play Ohio State. It is Michigan's offense. They've been really good on the run, but not great through the air. They're going to need an explosive play, win the turnover battle to have a chance. That being said, the spread opened at 11.5. Ohio State is favored by 9.5. I will be cheering for the Michigan Wolverines because I am a Go Blue supporter. Hail to the victors, as they would say. But give me Ohio State to cover 9.5 as my pick for the pick'em because I would rather win this than Michigan win.
Sure.
Give me Ohio State, the best team in the country, to finally get it done at Michigan.
Yeah, I have no problem picking Ohio State to win, but I do think that this could end up being a low-scoring game. I do think we could see a score like 17-10, 21-14. So I am going to pick Michigan to cover.
17-17. No, you can't see that. 17-7, 24-14.
Yeah, I think getting into my pick,
Both
I
of those
think I'm
cover.
going to take Ohio State to cover in about a 10-point win. I think it'll be tight and close early, but Michigan just not going to find offensive success, and eventually, due to that, Ohio State's offense is going to kind of break through and start finding some success, and then Michigan's going to have to push to try and keep the game close, and that's just not going to work. And then Ohio State will eventually kind of pull away. I don't think you're going to see a massive blowout, though I will say, I do wonder if there's a world where Ohio State is so pissed that if they see, just about the past 4 years, that if they see a chink in the Michigan's armor and they see daylight, that they're just going to punch until all of a sudden
It's like 35-14.
it's like stop, he's already dead.
Yeah.
I think there's more outcomes of the next 2 weeks where Ohio State beats Michigan and loses to Indiana.
Yeah.
Then they win this game and then also beat Indiana. I think they're going to leave.
Well, if they
so
lose this
much-
game, they won't play Indiana.
Yes. Out of the 2 scenarios where they beat Michigan, I think more scenarios lead to them losing to Indiana next week because I think they're going to leave so much emotion out there
Sure.
on the floor, or on the field, I should say.
Hard to turn back
And it's
around
going to be
for.
really hard to turn back around. Indiana gets to play at Purdue, and they should have a walk in the park. And also, because of the injuries, potentially with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, those aren't going to get better playing in a game. And
Yeah.
so that could be a concern next week. And so I think you see more scenarios where Indiana wins next week than Ohio State does if Ohio State can win in the Big House.
Cool.
There's my bold take.
Shall we get on to our last full college football preview?
Yes. Yes. Alabama at Auburn.
The Iron Bowl, a game JP will potentially and hopefully be attending, because if he's attending, it means State won the Egg Bowl, and that is
Yeah,
a
that'd be
massive
nice.
dub. But this game just has all the feels of an upset, a game Alabama should be scared of, considering their playoff destiny is now on the line. They lose this game, they're going to be out. And Auburn wins, and they get to go to a bowl game. And there's all this weird mojo, some good, some bad. Hugh Freeze is no longer there. DJ Durkin's the coach. You've had high offensive output since then. You've had low offensive output since then. They literally sat Ashton Daniels last week, so he'd be ready for this game. Does he have some kind of moment in him? And all of that culminating with Alabama's run game struggles and Auburn's regularly stout defense means this is only a 6.5 point spread at Auburn. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, last 5 of 6 Iron Bowls in Jordan Hare have been nothing short of classics, nothing short of games that are on the highlight tapes that you watch late at night. 2013 was the kick 6. I don't have to say anything more. There goes Chris Davis. 2015 is the only one that wasn't a classic. Bama and Derrick Henry blew out a 6-6, or I should say a 6-5 Auburn at the time, en route to a national title, Derrick Henry absolutely cooked Auburn and Jordan Hare. But since then, 2017, 11-0 Bama was poised to go undefeated, is upset by 10-1 Auburn. Auburn goes to the SEC title game with Jarrett Stidham and loses to Georgia, thus allowing Bama to slide back into the 4 spot in the playoff. They beat the brakes off of Kelly Bryant in New Orleans and Clemson, and then win the national title game with the Tua second half in Georgia as a true freshman. 2019, number 5 Bama rolls in and loses a classic shootout with Bo Nix, 48-45. End up missing the playoff. This is the year that Tua got hurt here in Starkville, and it was Mac Jones that played in that game. But it was a shootout to the end, 48-45. And then the last 2 years, or the last 2 games in Jordan Hare, 2021, Bama was number 3 in the country. Auburn was 6-5 again. It's 10-3 Auburn. They lead with 1:32 left in the 4th. They punt it. Bryce Young is pinned at the 3-yard line. Bama has scored 3 points at that point in the game. Bryce Young goes 97 yards to score a touchdown and tie the game. And then they play 4 overtimes, and Bama ends up winning it in the 4th overtime. I watched that in a Pyro's Pizza in Tupelo, Mississippi. I will never forget it. And then 2023, Bama is the number 8 team in the country. Auburn is again 6-5. Jalen Milroe hits Isaiah Bond in the end zone on 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. I again was in Tupelo, Mississippi for that game. Absolute classics every single time in Jordan Hare. So what will the story be this time? And you can't even say that the factors that Auburn has gone through this season, and even Bama as well, will have any impact on, those should favor towards Bama, because I would like to tell you that quarterbacks that started in these Auburn games have been TJ Finley has started in one of these games. Of course, Jarrett Stidham, Nick Marshall, Bo Nix. He was a true freshman in that game, if I'm not mistaken, as well. The only thing that has changed is this is the first one where we have an interim head coach for Auburn in DJ Durkin. Cadillac, after the Brian Harsin year, was in Tuscaloosa, so a different story to that one. What will the story be this time, though? Ashton Daniels will start. They did not play him last week. I've heard it was because they wanted to save him for the Bama game, but I also heard it was so they could save his red shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's a double. It was a thing of, like, we want him to be able to redshirt. And so, obviously, we're going to choose he plays the Bama game over the Mercer game, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Look, he, in the one game that he's played in SEC play, was dynamic.
He played against Kentucky, too.
He played didn't he replace?
He started.
Oh, that's right. He started.
And it was bad enough that Jackson Arnold came back in.
And then, yes, okay. But in the game that Auburn fans are going to remember on Saturday leading up to
post Hugh Freeze firing, he's played one game,
correct,
SEC game,
and he played against Vandy with DJ Durkin. He was dynamic, 31 for 44, 353 through the air, 89 on the ground, and 3 total touchdowns against Vandy in Vanderbilt in Nashville. Bama's defense, though, has stepped up as of late, and they've been really up to the task when it comes to not allowing points. That's kind of been their recipe all year, is score 28 and give up like 21. That is how they've won essentially every game that they've played this year, and I imagine they'll look to do that again in Auburn this weekend. The spread opened at 3.5. I know we talked about that yesterday. It has been bet all the way up to 6.5 now, and I don't know why, given the history that I just gave you.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I guess they're expecting...
Wait, so if it opened at 3.5...
And it's been bet up to 6.5, meaning everyone is putting money on Bama.
Yeah. So it would have been a neutral site, Bama by like 7?
Give or take, yes.
Okay. Makes sense.
7 or 6.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why, because you can't rewrite the history of the Iron Bowl and Jordan Hare. You also can't rewrite the history of Kalen DeBoer on the road. He has not been excellent on the road. They had 3 losses on the road last year.
You're still betting on the better team, though. I get there's all this history and stuff.
That's a lot of money to come in to move that line 3 points.
3 points.
Someone probably bet $10 million.
Some
Mattress Mac decided to get in on this game
I'm
from
sure.
Texas.
Look, and Bama lost also on the road this year to Florida State. It's just for Bama. I think it's another matchup where it's almost identical to the Oklahoma matchup, where Auburn is elite against the run. They're the 9th best in the country, but they're not good against the pass. They're 98th in the country. Now, Oklahoma was 35th in the country at that point. And once again, or not once again, the opposite, though, of that OU game was, if you remember the OU game in the preview and in the breakdown, Bama was much better at forcing turnovers than Auburn. Or not Auburn, Oklahoma. Auburn's better than Bama at forcing turnovers. They're plus 11 in the turnover margin to Bama's 6. I think that plays a huge, huge factor. I think we're at this point, you could almost make the same case for Ty Simpson that you could for Marcel Reed. It is worse for Marcel Reed, I would argue. But Ty Simpson is due for an interception in Auburn this weekend. It'll be a question of whether or not they convert off of said interception, because I think they're going to have a really tough time moving the football. He had 2 picks against Eastern Illinois last week and a pick against Oklahoma. Prior to that, he had only had 1 pick all season. I didn't watch the Eastern Illinois game, but if you threw 2 picks to Eastern Illinois, I'm going to question your decision-making coming into this Auburn game.
According to DeBoer, he basically was just trying to force the issue and push the issue. It's kind of, I think, a thing of which you can't do this as a QB. I'm not trying to excuse it, but oh man, I smell blood in the water, and then you get a little over eager and over aggressive, and then you make a mistake.
Well, I've got a problem with that. I think that's a huge potential in this game. The momentum swing from a Ty Simpson interception, or just a Bama turnover in general, which they had 3 of them against OU. How well does Auburn get after the quarterback? They've done a fine job at that. They've got playmakers up there. Are they as good as Oklahoma was against Bama? And then does the fact that Ashton Daniels has only started 2 games help Auburn or hurt Auburn?
Yeah.
Does it help them because they don't have a lot of tape, as in Bama doesn't have a lot of tape? They don't know how to stop him. And Bama has, as Sanders has said many times, struggles with running quarterbacks, and Ashton Daniels can run. Or does it hurt Auburn because he's never played in a moment like this, and now he's playing the Iron Bowl, bowl eligibility, knock Alabama out of the playoff? It is, in my opinion, the biggest game of the weekend in terms of just impact. There are results that would have a bigger impact. Like if Michigan beats Ohio State, that has a bigger impact. But I think regardless of impact or regardless of result, this will have the biggest impact between the 2 programs. Does him not have playing in any game like that hurt them as well? Those are the things I'm really curious to see. I hope I get to be at this game. That would be a dream. I have not seen a Jordan-Hare night game. I've seen 2 day games.
Sure.
So I would just love to see that. But y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I actually
As the
wasn't
2
gonna,
Alabama fans.
I was not going to bring up the running back, the quarterback rushing situation, just because since that Florida State game for Gunnar Stockton, 5 carries, 22 yards. They hold Lenore Sellers to 1 more than 66 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They play John Mateer. I believe he finished with maybe in the 20s.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull all these box scores up as I talk. Yeah, 23 yards and a touchdown on 10 carries. So really, since the Florida State game, where I kind of harped on, wow, y'all got cooked by Tommy Castellanos, and you still have all these dual threat quarterbacks left on the schedule. You face Gunnar Stockton, Diego Pavia, Bo Perbula, Lenora Sellers, John Mateer. Since then, they've done a much better job about handling it. They have not gotten burned in the same way. Now, that's not to say that that's not still a possibility, but I will be interested to see how that goes. I'm a lot had they been burned by other quarterbacks in the same way they got burned by Castellanos, I'd be nervous about that matchup.
Sure.
But I'm less concerned now.
Yeah, I mean, there's still been moments in those games where it's kind of shown. They're not it's not like they've done a full 180, And I know this is not what you're saying, but just there is a chance it could happen. I mean, Mateer rips off the 1, but that is definitely a concern. I love the impact piece of it because a couple things that could happen if Auburn wins. DeBoer's not gonna get fired, but the noise around
we missed the playoff twice at Alabama.
He was gonna get 1 more year.
I know he won't get fired, but that is a
Yeah,
huge
correct.
storyline.
We're going to be back to after the Florida State game where people are like, if I win the lottery, I'm firing, Kalen DeBoer, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Does Auburn just hire DJ Durkin? Like, I think that's a legit
Very
possibility
on
at that
paper.
point.
Same or Summerall at least.
yeah.
Like at this point.
Stuff like that
I think
comes
there's-
into play.
Durkin it's a good argument for Durkin just because Auburn is talented. Like everyone knows that, and so if you can keep a guy on staff and you can keep together a lot of the core pieces of that really good defense, and you can keep Cam Coleman, you can keep Deuce Knight. Like if you can keep all that talent that you've accrued in house, and then go find the assistant coaches to develop and maximize that talent, I think that's what Auburn
Yep.
will want to do.
The thing that really interests me about this game, and I think it makes it an almost impossible game to pick, aside from the history, is kind of the Jekyll and Hyde that Auburn's been recently of, man, that was a really great performance against Vandy, and that Vandy defense has been pretty good all year. But then also you gave up 40-plus points to Vandy, and your defense hasn't really been that all year. You've had a good defense. So it's like, what defensive type of performance are we going to get?
Yeah.
And what offensive performance are we going to get? Are we going to get the high? Are we going to get the low on both sides of the ball? And there's just so many variables, new QBs, new coaches. How in the world is Auburn going to come out in this game? I can't begin.
It's the biggest mystery of the weekend.
Correct. I can't begin to make a read on how that's going to go.
Yeah.
Anything could happen, and they would be. They could score 3 points. I'd be like,
Oh, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes sense. They could score 35. I'd be like, sure, yeah, makes sense. There's just no way to know. For Bama, you already said it. Ty Simpson, you got to get back to taking care of the football. You have to. It's what made you so great because the offense doesn't really score a ton, but they were taking care of the football so much and just letting their defense do what they did.
Mhm.
The turnovers have really been killer. And then for Bama's defense, I think the game plan should be, let's sell out to stop the run. We like our DBs. I know it's Cam Coleman and Eric Singletary,
Yeah.
but at least to start the game, make Ashton Daniels connect those passes, make him find them,
Mhm.
and then if he does that, okay, then we'll back off. But to start the game, I just would not let them run the football. I'd make them hit shots. It's not like Ashton Daniels has been the guy for that long. I don't know what the chemistry's like there. Once again, you gotta trust your DBs a good bit. They've been good for the backstretch of the season. That's what I would do. And then once again, if they start hitting pop plays in the passing game, okay, then we'll give them a bunch of help over the top. But I wouldn't let them settle in and be running the ball because Auburn has a pretty solid rushing attack there. So I wouldn't want that to settle in.
Yeah, you speak to making them throw the football. Their two highest passing yards total are their last two games against Mercer and Vanderbilt. Other than that, their highest was 250 for Jackson Arnold against Ball State. In Power 4 games, their highest is 220 with Jackson Arnold against OU.
Yeah.
And when you were mentioning the Jekyll and Hyde, did you mention the game before the Vanderbilt game, the Kentucky game?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. That's part of what I was alluding to, but it is tough because the coach is new. So then it's like, is that really a thing of the past? Probably. You can't assume it's fully gone. But Hugh Freeze is gone. But it's a great point. You put up what 7, 10 points?
3. You lost 10-3
10-3 against Kentucky. That's
at home.
Yep. I mean that's what got Hugh Freeze fired. You can't
Night
do
game,
that.
too.
Yeah.
But the defense showed up in that game.
Yeah. And then you, like you said, gave up 45 to Vandy the next week, but you scored 38.
It was in overtime. They gave it 38 in regulation, but still.
If someone told me I have a read on how this game is going to go, I would just be like, you're wrong.
Well,
You're
it
lying.
is one of those things of
Unless your read is, I don't know what's going to happen.
you could just get lucky, or that.
Mm-hmm.
That
But
was
that's what I'm gonna say. You haven't really made a read; you've made a guess.
Yes.
There's a difference.
Yeah, that was a tied for the most points they had scored. The most points they had scored, 38 points against Baylor. If they take all the points from that game and just sprinkle it into all the other close games, we could be talking about a 10-1 Auburn right now.
Well, they argue that officiating is the
Has
difference,
cost them.
really. The
True.
OU game, the Georgia game, they don't
Well, that
argue
finally
that
came
for
to
the
a-
A&M game.
That finally came to a halt in the Kentucky game. When they
Yes.
finally were like, okay, we're just bad.
Absolutely. This is 6:30 on ABC. If State wins the Egg Bowl, I will be there, which means we'll have boots on the ground for this game. And
This is a Saturday game, right?
Saturday
Yeah.
night, ABC, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit.
I should be back by then. Thankfully, I won't be trying to watch it in the car.
Yeah,
I'm
Bama.
very grateful. I do hate that, the extra Friday football complicates Thanksgiving travel plans and everything. But I'm also grateful because it means that the games when I'm not there's more games when I'm not working that I get
Sure.
to watch. So
Bama opened as 3.5-point favorites, and before we swing it to the two Bama fans here, I am going to take Auburn to cover 6.5 points. Again, like I said, I don't understand how this got up to 6.5 from 3.5. Sanders speculates that some sharks laid some big money on this game. I'm going to have to consult with the guy who looks a lot like the guy from 99 Day Fiance that was had like really
Yeah, I know who you're talking about 'cause I've seen the
with
memes.
the ponytail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a guy who's a Vegas sportsbook guy that does TikToks every week, and he talks about where the Sharks are putting the money on. I'll consult him on Bama Auburn
Please do.
to see if the Sharks
have to
roll
let us
over
know.
Bama.
You are on a different side of TikTok than I am.
Look up 99 Day Fiance.
What is his name? Like Joe? I'm trying to think of his name
Something
'cause
like
I should
that.
know his name.
I should know his name
because
as
he's
well.
iconic. I mean, he was like a
And then
massive internet meme
When
for a
I
while.
find that TikTok, I will send the TikTok, and he looks exactly like him, just with glasses.
99 Day
I
Fiance.
think it's 90. But
90 Day Fiance.
99 should pop up, I would imagine.
Bert, maybe.
It is 90 Day Fiance. This guy, Bert.
No,
Ben
go to
Ref-
images.
No, yeah, go to images.
I bet it'll pop up pretty quick. There he is.
Yes, that guy.
So the Vegas guy
Looks
like
exactly
that.
like that guy, but with glasses.
Ed. His name is Ed.
Ed, that's right.
Yeah.
So I will consult him as to whether or not Sharks put a ton of money on Bama, or if it was the public that put a bunch of money on Bama. But I don't understand how it got to 6.5. I'll take Auburn plus 6.5 all day. I think there are so many results that lean towards Auburn at least covering 6.5, if not winning the game outright. But like Jack said, there's so much variance in this game. This is a guess. It's a shot in the dark.
How can
just
Auburn
gonna-
limit that variance?
They would have to, I would argue, run the ball well and run the ball a lot.
That's how every
and
team limits
limit
variance, right?
the amount of possessions. That's how you would limit. That's how anyone would limit variance in any football game.
Sure.
Yeah,
Is
just
limit the
limit
amount
the-
of possessions.
Yeah.
Plays run even.
Yes, even
Points
better.
scored even.
There could be an argument because you could go 3 and out on 3 incompletions every single drive, and no clock burns.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of variance there.
All that being said, give me Auburn, and now the Bama fans can pick.
Go Sanders.
See, I'm gonna pick Alabama to cover here, and the accusations of me being an Alabama fan are going
correct.
to fly.
You
All-
have said roll tide, so
I have said roll tide. I'm not gonna tell that story again. I'm gonna pick Alabama to cover the 6.5. I think Alabama is a better team than Auburn. I think Alabama is more kept put together right now than Auburn is with the coaching stuff. So I'm gonna go Alabama to win by a touchdown because that's all it takes to cover the 6.5. So it's a really nice number for Alabama to cover.
you disappoint me, Sanders, because I was really hoping I'd be alone on the Alabama side because I really got some ground to make up. And that is partially why I'm picking Alabama. Not entirely because I said I'd never do that again. I am leaning Alabama. The unpredictability of it does scare the crap out of me. But the fact that 6.5, like I just need a touchdown win. All the chaos in the world can happen. It can be a tie game, and Ty Simpson can fumble, and an offensive lineman can pick it up and run it 40 yards for a touchdown.
Can he advance a fumble?
Not on fourth down,
Not on fourth down.
but it could
Okay.
be third down, and they
Heard.
could do it. Caden Proctor, he has some experience in that
Wheels.
field. Maybe he gets a little hurdle in, a little Heisman pose at the end.
Sure.
But give me Alabama, and I really hoped I'd be alone on that island.
How many touchdowns does Caden Proctor need to vault himself into the Heisman conversation?
7 or 6
Sure.
on Saturday.
And you really have done us even dirtier because now you've just validated his point even more.
About us being
You,
Bama
you have
fans?
fanned his flames. You've stoked his fire. Yeah.
That's all right
I mean, I at least admit it. I don't know why you won't admit it.
because I'm not a Bama fan.
But that's just denial.
I recognize that Alabama is a good football team.
That's a denial.
Cool.
Rapid fire. Let's do these. We have 5 more games to pick because it's rivalry weekend, and there's just a lot of good games, and so we wanted to pick more. And it gives me a chance
Because
to
last time
close
we
the
did
gap.
that, it went really well for us.
Hey, I succeeded the best out of all of us.
You did. You
Yes.
won 4 games. Me and Jit, we picked in week 5. We did this where we previewed some games, but there was too many other games. This was the week where we had,
A&M did us so dirty that week, man. I mean, my
Yeah.
goodness, holy
Yes.
crap!
and so we previewed 4 or 5 games, and then picked another 6 games or 5 games, And I won 2 out of the 10. JP won 2 out of the 10, and Jack won 4 out of the 10. So none of us did well, but Jack did do the best.
That's proof I was a day one JMU guy right there.
And so yes, let's rapid fire these. JP, Miami at Pitt. Miami favored by 6.5.
Give me the Hurricanes. I think they've got to make a big statement this weekend to try and give themselves a chance at an at-large spot, because right now they are not sitting pretty, while sitting at more than likely 13. Utah is still ahead of them. BYU is still ahead of them. They're going to have to cheer for some upsets like Auburn this weekend, but I think they have to make a statement at Pitt, and I think they will. Pitt is got manhandled by Notre Dame 2 weeks ago. Miami beat Notre Dame already. Why would I not expect a very similar result?
Sure.
I'm going to go Pitt. I have zero faith in Mario Cristobal. I have a proposal. Is Mario Cristobal what state fans fear Jeff Lebby may become when it comes to poor decision-making, late game scenarios, stuff that just doesn't make sense? Is that a fair comparison? Not saying Lebby is there yet, because Lebby's in year 2 as a head coach, year 1 with competitive rosters and competitive games.
If Lebby has us on the doorstep of the playoff 2 years in a row, I don't care.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the low, like the stuff about Mario Cristobal that we talk about, and is the reason we don't like him as a head coach is because he lost him that game last year. Or 2.
No, I don't think it's fair.
Okay.
Because I agree that they both make a lot of bad decisions, but a lot of Mario Cristobal stems from being a coward late, and we haven't seen Jeff Lebby be a coward. We've seen the opposite. Potentially, he's a
Over-aggressive.
little too bold.
Okay.
So yeah, they both made a
little
lot of
too
mistakes,
trusting.
but I think it manifests because of different. It's there because of different reasons.
Okay. That's fair. I'm gonna go Pitt, and I'm not gonna break it down or anything just to go faster.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give like a 5-word synopsis. I'm picking Miami because they need it desperately, and I think Heinzel, the defense of Miami, may be a little too much. He'll make some mistakes.
Okay.
It's like 20 words, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
3 words. What does he say?
Steve Nash,
Chris Paul.
must-see TV.
I love Inside the NBA, man.
Oh man.
You said 3 words.
And
I only said 3 words.
Doesn't he then come back and be like? Doesn't he? It's like he doubles down and then he gives like 5 words.
Yeah, he tries again. He goes Steve Nash, Chris Paul, and it's like there's still more.
Okay. Oregon at Washington. Oregon minus 6.5.
I'm going to take Dan Lanning in Oregon. I feel Jack's sentiment. Washington has let us down this year with the way that they have played in big games, and Kalen DeBoer is not at Washington, so I think Dan Lanning will handle them.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Oregon. This is, year 2 of no DeBoer at Washington, and they won the game last year. They went undefeated. I'm going to pick them to win by a touchdown. You do have to travel, but I'm still going to pick them to win by touchdown.
Give me Oregon. I can't trust Washington again as much as I want them to win this game. This is honestly one of the more surprising spreads I saw. I'm a little surprised it's under a touchdown. I know it's on the road, but still, give me Oregon.
I wonder if weather plays
It's
any kind
possible.
of factor into that game. I can double check really, really quickly.
Yeah, does Dan Lanning in
It's
Cotton.
47 degrees and cloudy.
Sure.
I love the Josh Pate
So
talking
no.
about Dan Lanning in his cotton shirts when it's pouring rain. It's been
You got to be there with the team, man.
so entertaining. And then, I just love Josh Pate and the way he talks
You
about
don't
some
when
coaches.
playing College Football 26.
Josh
like
Pate, also a Bama fan.
College Football 26 is a rain game. You don't like hop in the shower and like hold the controller out. Move the TV. Be out there with the boys.
Yeah, I soap up the balls.
Yeah. Soap up the balls. You
Soap
make
up
your
the
controller.
It just like
The joysticks are really like slippery.
oh, all right. LSU. And then if it's cold, you just like stick your hands in the freezer and like
Yeah.
okay. And then if it's hot,
Play outside if it's like in December.
Yeah, play outside. If it's really windy, you turn on the fan,
There you
like all
go.
sorts of stuff.
if it's bright and sunny, we can get one of our lights and just shine it directly in your eyes.
Yeah, you turn into like streamer mode there.
Yeah.
Next game, Sanders.
Yeah, LSU at Oklahoma. Oklahoma minus 10.5.
I'm taking OU to cover 10.5 by winning by 11 points. Very
Wow.
similar to the way they won 17-6 this past weekend. I don't think it's going to look exactly like the Missouri game, and not as similar as the Bama game, but pretty close. I don't think Mr. President gets to 10 points, but I don't think OU gets to 21 against that defense. So give me them to win 17-6 for the second straight week.
I forgot it was Van Buren that was starting. I was going to go LSU just because I think that in a low-scoring game, it's hard to cover 10.5. Is Nussmeier just benched, or has it been like injury stuff?
It's
Benched.
both. Basically, they were like, we just need to put a pin in you for the rest of the season.
But like, I think that's funny because he's not coming back. I mean, he's done, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's
walked
just-
out on senior night.
Yeah.
Last week.
Okay. So I'll change my pick to OU. If it wasn't a sophomore quarterback in his first road game, question mark, at LSU.
At LSU, no. I mean, his first road start at LSU. He did play in the second half of Bama.
Okay. I'm gonna go Oklahoma to cover because I just don't see the LSU offense was bad with a veteran quarterback. I don't see it scoring it, like you said, a touchdown.
It was really bad last week against Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean they scored 13 points.
Correct.
Well, that's just karma for Brian Kelly's kid saying,
And
free my
Western
boy.
Kentucky spotted them a drive inside the red zone.
Yeah,
But Western Kentucky has Maverick McIver, and you don't beat him by a lot of points.
He didn't start at quarterback.
But they still have him on the team.
Okay,
yeah.
So that
His
matters.
aura just leaks onto the field.
fair.
I'm gonna go OU to cover.
Boomer.
Jack, are you gonna take
This is
advantage?
beautiful because I wanted LSU from the jump, and so it works even better.
Sure, you did.
I think OU's winning this game. I just have no faith that they're going to win by over 10.5.
They'll win by 11.
Okay, we'll see. But I'm all over it, and I'm loving the way this is shaping up.
All right, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Tennessee -2.5.
Talk about Shapen, Blake Shapen, who has no impact on this game. Vanderbilt playing for a playoff spot, must win in Rocky Top, down on Rocky Top, on Rocky Top, whatever you want to say. I think this is going to be an electric game. If we had previewed another game, it would have been this one. Diego Pavia, if he wants to make the Heisman case, if his mom wants to make the Heisman case, you better
I don't need to see her make the Heisman case again, personally.
better do it now. This is the chance against one of the best offenses in the country in Tennessee. Expect this game to be a shootout. Expect it to be really, really fun to watch. But give me Tennessee to win it. 2.5 points is not enough points to take Vandy to cover if the game's going to be a shootout. There's just too many scenarios where Tennessee wins by 3 points or more. Give me the Vols to defeat the Commodores on Saturday.
Saunders?
Yeah, I think what JP said about this is a great. I mean, it's a great opportunity for his Heisman.
It's the opportunity.
Heisman candidacy.
He needs it bad.
candidacy. Like this is your chance, and this is something JP says all the time about. I think specifically the Heisman. It's people voting. Is that right, or is that the AP poll that you usually say it?
Both.
It's Heisman. You say it a
Yeah.
lot about the Heisman because you talk about guys being vocal. We made a TikTok about Julian Sayin, and how it's people voting. And I think that if you're a quarterback and you have a really good game, like he did against Texas in the second half, in that comeback, if you can put up a good stat line, you can have a Heisman play, maybe a fourth quarter, a game-winning drive,
Yeah.
and you put Vanderbilt in the conversation for the playoffs. And I don't know what time this game is, but depending on if it's a later,
3:30.
okay, on Saturday.
Yeah, 3:30 Eastern.
Okay,
it
so
is.
depending on how games play out, if you are a quarterback that puts Vanderbilt in the conversation or in the playoffs, I think that the people who vote are going to like that. That's
They
going to be
should.
it's a great story, and like it or not, the Heisman is not just about your stats; it's about who you are as a person. It's about your story. So this is a great opportunity for Pavia to do that, and so I'm going to take them to cover. I'm going to take Diego Pavia to get it done.
That's not where I thought we were going because of the way you set that up, but cool.
Yeah.
Just because you're like, I agree with JP and kind of how you started off.
Oh, about how
So,
I was
yeah,
agreeing
but initially
with the,
I was like, oh, so he's also taking Tennessee.
No, I was agreeing with JP and that it's a great opportunity for Pavia to like put the last stamp on his, hopefully the last stamp in his college career.
Well, see, this is what I was going to lead mine with. This is like the bowl of the two QBs I hate the most right now, or some of the most, and that's because Joey Aguilar has jumped on the lawsuit that
Yes.
Diego Pavia has filed against the NCAA.
Mhm.
And guys, I get like you want to play football as much as you can. It reminds me of what Billy Bean is told in Moneyball of like, at some point we all get told we can no longer play the children's game. We just don't know when that is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I'm telling you all can no longer play the children's game. Go get a job. I need this injunction to fail. And since Pavia started it all, I'm going to pick against Diego Pavia and give me Tennessee to win this game.
Yeah, if you weren't good enough to play college ball originally, then you don't deserve to continue to have years of eligibility when you play JUCO ball.
What's crazy is I believe Blake Shapen is older than both of these guys and still has a year of eligibility left.
Well, I would probably tell Blake Shapen he can no longer play the children's game too, but injuries is a bit of a different story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of injury red shirts there.
Yep.
Last one, Sanders. for
UCF
college.
at BYU, BYU minus 18.5.
I'm going to take my/our
Yeah.
Cougars to cover the 18.5 at home against UCF and Scott Frost. I think they will want to put together another really, really good performance. I think they'll be really motivated. It's a noon kickoff Central Time. So it's sorry, I didn't mean to slow there. I just was thinking 11 o'clock kick for BYU. So no different than a noon kickoff for us here in Starkville. BYU, I think they might start slow, and it might look like, oh, no, here comes UCF. But I think they'll get it done in the second half. If they can make some kind of statement, considering the teams above them, it becomes maybe an interesting conversation with Notre Dame if Notre Dame looks really bad against Stanford. Not that they will, but maybe Bama or OU or Oregon. Like if Oregon loses to Washington, BYU needs to perform well for that to be a better argument for BYU to stay ahead of Oregon. Stuff like that. So I think they need to put together another great performance. Of course, they need to win this game to reach the Big 12 championship as well. So that has a ton of impact towards their motivation. Give me the Cougars.
Yeah. I think I'm also going to pick BYU because it is our team on this podcast that we have adopted them, and it's been really fun, the interacting with the BYU fans. Kind of sad that, like, the season's almost over.
It's just getting started.
It is.
We're going to
That is
have a
true.
home game in Provo very soon.
That is true. Are we going?
I'm interested.
He's intrigued.
I'm gonna go BYU. I think that it'll be interesting to see if they get into an opportunity where your options are continue to dominate, maybe run up the score, trying to like make a really impressive final statement of the committee, or do you sit guys down because you've got an even bigger game the next week? That's going to be interesting to see. I hope that's a situation they find themselves in. I hope Scott Frost does not make this a sneaky game that keeps it competitive, 10 points in the fourth quarter, something like that. I hope that it's a blowout where that's a decision that we have to make, but I'll be interested to see how they handle that. Because next week, I think that I would run up the score because I don't think you want to get caught in like the look ahead situation where you're. But I don't know.
I don't think there's any point in bringing up the score because I don't really think this game's going to move the committee regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well,
It
but
might,
like,
but what it may not move you up, but it might be the last straw that doesn't drop you if you lose a conference championship game.
I'm with Jack, unfortunately, even though I made that case. UCF has wins over Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and North Carolina. That's their Power 4 wins.
it just doesn't
Three
do
pretty
much.
good wins.
This brother, this Jimmy, Taven Jackson, that's who they're rolling out at QB. He's going to cover the 18.5 against BYU because I don't think BYU is going to care about running up the score. And the way BYU plays with just their run-heavy offense, like if they can get LJ Martin going, they're not really going to veer away from that. And so I think we could see a little backdoor cover magic from UCF.
Yeah.
I need BYU to win. Obviously, like I'm not hating, but I think we could see like a 17-point BYU win here. They handle
Or
their
even
business.
28-10.
It's never that close, but it just UCF sneaks it in. So.
Yeah, it might be like I love your point about the run game. It might be BYU scores 4 touchdowns on 7 or 6 possessions. Like
Could be 28-9, though.
I think they're just going to go out there and cruise. It could be, and I could just be off. But I think it's going to be right. I think it's a great spread. I think it's going to be right around that number.
31-12.
So
BYU has only blown out one
Yeah.
Big 12 opponent this year, TCU. Everyone else has been 14 points or less.
But UCF is also probably the worst opponent they've played.
Agreed.
they played Colorado too.
Okay.
That's
That was at Colorado, but they have played West Virginia at home.
Okay.
and
West
they won
Virginia
by
beat
14.
Houston, so obviously West Virginia's elite.
They're actually very, really good.
They're very, really good. I love
Very,
that.
really good.
That's what happens when it's 12-25.
Hey, look, West Virginia will cover against Texas Tech this weekend. Texas Tech is like a 21.5 point
Okay.
favorite.
We have a viewer. If you are in here watching at 12:30 in the morning, I'd love to know who you are. It says we have a viewer. It might just be
It may
wrong.
lie. It told
Sometimes
us we
it's
had
wrong.
0 earlier, and then Abby was still in the stream.
I just realized we have 3 NFL games to preview.
They're
We're-
gonna go.
we're a little
really,
quicker
we already
with the
talked
NFL
the
games.
NFL today too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you want our true thoughts on the NFL, go check the pyramid.
I have thrown them up there.
This is a Thanksgiving game, team.
It is.
And
This is the appetizer to college football.
Correct? The Packers go to Detroit to face off against the Lions in a divisional matchup, and one that matters a ton because neither of these teams are currently leading the division, and the Lions aren't even in the playoffs. But it's kind of a game you have to win to then try and chase down the Bears in terms of the divisional title. If you lose this game, all of a sudden you're still behind. You're not in second place, you're in third. You have even more work to do. So I think they will view that kind of like that. I'm interested to see how these teams play. Both these teams can be a little inconsistent. It's kind of hard to know what you're going to get week to week. But Detroit is favored by 2.5 at home. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it's a massive swing game for the two teams. Green Bay 7-3-1, Detroit 7-4. They are the 6th seed and the 8th seed in the NFC right now. It could flip immediately. Green Bay wins this game. It's massive. They gain the head-to-head fully over Detroit, and Detroit's chances of making the postseason become a lot harder because San Francisco won tonight against Carolina, and so now they'll at least be a game back of that 7 seed, and if Green Bay were to somehow fall to the 7 seed, it's 2 games back with the head-to-head. Detroit, this is a must-win game for them. I think they have everything to lose. I think Green Bay loses this game. We don't really bat too much of an eye unless they were really, really uncompetitive offensively in this game once again. I can't wait. The early Thanksgiving game for many, many years because it has been Detroit every single time. Detroit is the first one, and then it's at Dallas. And then we've gotten the added bonus of an extra game on top of that. This game, until Dan Campbell and Detroit got their stuff together, was a snooze fest for 15 years. Detroit was terrible. It didn't matter who was playing in this game. This was a game that was on, but it was like slightly muted, and you were just talking with your family.
This really was the appetizer to the NFL slate.
Absolutely. It was an appetizer to the Cowboys game later that day. Not anymore. This is arguably the biggest game of the weekend, and I think it's up there for the NFL. And I think it's eyes will be glued to the TV. The conversations about Thanksgiving and the day going forward, there won't be many of them for this game. I'll tell you, I won't be talking to my mother, who's in town, too much because I'll be watching this game very closely. Shout out to her for driving out. But family that are just getting into town for Thanksgiving dinner, there will be no helping them with getting stuff out of the car unless it's during commercial break for this
You'll have
game.
plenty of opportunities during commercial break.
I can't wait for it. I think it's really, really impactful. If you're looking for storylines, X's and O's wise, how does Detroit's offense fare against Green Bay's defense the second time around? Week 1, it was terrible. Does Detroit continue to see wishy-washy offensive performances? And then for Green Bay, it's also their offensive as well. We have not seen great performances from Jordan Love the last 4 weeks after we saw really a perfect performance on Sunday Night Football against the Steelers. And so against a Detroit Lions defense that has struggled, especially against Jameis Winston last week, kind of no excuses for them in this game, even with the injuries, where I don't think Josh Jacobs will play in this game either. Of course, Tucker Kraft is still out for the year. Those are really your storylines, X's and O-wise. Sanders, any thoughts before we pick this one? You are the pick leader, so you will get to pick first for our NFL games. You lead by 1 game, soon to change, of course, after this weekend.
Yeah, obviously it'll be 2 or more after this weekend.
For me.
No, I'll chase you down.
Yeah, you're gonna make up 8 games with when we pick 3.
Can I go in and just y'all can obviously veto this. I'll go and admit defeat. Can my correct picks count as double?
I was
'Cause
gonna say
just want to see if I can I'm so bad. I want to see if even with that, if I can bridge the gap.
my suggestion was gonna be if you get all 3 right, you get 9 points, and if you
See,
don't,
9 is so many.
but if you don't get all 3 right,
Sanders,
you
he
get
hasn't
0.
Had a, well, to clarify,
I think I've gotten 2 right one time.
who did you pick between Bucks Rams last week?
I'm sure I picked the Rams, but I don't actually know.
Okay, because we
So
didn't
we
put one in.
Oh.
I'm gonna give it to you. So you had your first winning week of the year.
No.
Second.
Second winning week of the year. Sorry, last week. You're 10-26. You're only 6 games back.
But if you get all 3 right, you get 9. If you get 2 or less, you get 0.
He's only got to have.
I'm
Three,
not- why
three
would I
perfect
take
weeks
that
in
deal?
a row?
Because if you getting 3 right is 9 is huge.
I'm gonna decline.
Okay, I'll play it out straight up then.
Still a lot of football left to play.
We still got 7 or 6 weeks left of regular season football. Actually,
Sure.
I think it's 5.
Not
And then
that
the
many.
Playoffs.
It's 18-week schedule, so we've got
I'm really not that far back because y'all aren't doing
6.
great either. While I'm doing terribly, y'all are doing poor.
yeah.
So I'm really not that far back.
I think it's time for you to institute you just pick the opposite of whatever me and JP
Nope.
pick.
I won't do that. I'm a man of principle.
I think it's inarguable that this is the biggest game of the weekend. The only other game that's even close is Philadelphia-Chicago. And I think that because we've already seen these teams play and that Green Bay dominated in the manner they did, and now this is another game, it's a divisional matchup as opposed to NFC East versus NFC North. I think that this makes this the biggest game of the weekend. And then Bears-Eagles is another fantastic game. But I'm going to go Detroit. I have been very underwhelmed by the Green Bay offense, and the wide receiver quarterback situation is not panning out in the way that I thought it was or thought it would. I really thought that I was low in Jordan Love, and then after that week 1 game against Detroit, I was maybe too quick to admit that I was wrong. I'm not saying now that he's bad, but I was like, oh my gosh, it really is going to be one receiver every week is going to have 125 and a touchdown, because there's so many options.
Mm-hmm.
That just hasn't been the case. I think that they still have that potential there. They could still figure things out. They do lose. Do they lose Dubs to the collarbone injury? No.
It was Don
Reed.
It
Reed.
was Jaden Reed.
Jaden
and He's
Reed.
very close to returning.
Yes, thank you. So they did lose one of their guys to an injury. So there's maybe that took away something they were planning on having. But I'm gonna go Detroit to cover. Win. I don't think they're gonna win by 3 because it's not what something Detroit does. I think they got to win by 10, right? Because we've talked about Detroit and their issues in competitive games. They're more the kind of team that's gonna get up and just stay up. But I'll take Detroit.
They won a highly competitive game on Sunday,
True. I don't know. Did they?
They won in overtime against the Giants.
Yes.
Highly competitive game.
Really good Giants team.
Yeah, led by famous Jameis. It's a new look Giants team.
Dude, the Jameis catch.
Jameis in that game had a flea flicker touchdown. He had a receiving touchdown of 35 yards, one where he had to break a tackle.
It was he had to moss the guy and then break the tackle. It was electric.
On top of all that, he had a 50% completion percentage and still threw a very game-defining interception in the fourth quarter.
Tough.
Well, it's the Jameis Winston experience.
Who you picking, JP?
I'm going to take Green Bay because I'm going to back my pyramid. It is also one of my best bets.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Green Bay I have as just a point, or not a point, half of a point dog in this game, and so I lean Green Bay here. Green Bay was higher, a tier higher than Detroit on tonight's pyramid. I guess last night's pyramid, I should say, at this point. So give me Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I respect you for backing your pyramid. I'm going to take Detroit. I just feel like it's right that these two teams split the regular season series, and with the kind of injury issues with Josh Jacobs, I don't think the offense has really found themselves, in Green Bay's that is, and then losing Tucker Kraft, they really got to find themselves. So give me Detroit.
Terrible Tucker Craft value.
Bad Tucker Kraft value.
JP, would you rather have Jameis Winston or Tyler Shuck?
In what context?
Starting for the New Orleans Saints this week.
I would rather start Tyler Shuck this week.
Okay. Would you rather have Tyler Shuck or 2015 Jameis Winston? Who would you rather have as a rookie, Jameis Winston or Tyler Shuck?
Jameis.
Okay.
Because he won a national championship, and so I'd have more belief
Sure.
Yeah.
in him that he would get it turned around, even with 30-30.
I mean, what do you mean even with? Because of 30. 30 and 30 was iconic.
Yeah, but it's 30 picks is bad. That's really
It's
bad.
really-
It's impressively bad.
Stafford is on a reverse of that. He has 30 touchdowns and 2 picks right now.
Have y'all seen all the narratives around who should win MVP? And Stafford's got the stats, and then Lamar fans are saying, "Oh, but stats didn't matter last year." And then Dak Prescott fans are coming back and saying, "Well, stats didn't matter 2 years ago."
And they are correct.
It's just all so funny. It's great. I can't wait to see what happens. I have no idea who I would vote to win MVP
I would vote Stafford.
right now.
Yes, right now.
I think I'd have to think about it some more. Thankfully, I don't have to vote right
Who
now.
else are you voting for?
Drake May is really the only other competition. And then I think if Dak Prescott makes the playoff, then he's third.
If Dak, is it not fair that if Dak makes the playoff that he should get it because he
It's
can't?
not fair if the Rams only lose 2 games and Stafford,
But
who is on pace for
The Dallas defense is turning around, and also it's not like Dak doesn't have weapons.
yeah, that is true. That is true. He probably, I mean, his weapons are on the same tier, I would argue, as the Rams.
Matthew Stafford is on pace for 46 touchdowns and 3 picks through the air this year.
Yeah.
Nearly getting to Peyton Manning's 50
How many?
touchdowns.
Wait, how many picks?
3.
3 picks. Wait, how many does he have now? 1.
2.
Wow.
Pretty
Crazy.
good.
If that happens, it's just no way Dak can get to it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dak,
This is where I disagree with Sanders because I think this is the biggest game of the weekend. Chiefs at Cowboys, 2 teams that have no room for error at this point. The Chiefs are 6-5. The Cowboys are 5-1. The vibes feel a little different around these teams. I will say it feels like the Chiefs are hanging on for dear life, and the Cowboys is kind of like, oh, have they found a little something? They got a little momentum. The Quinnen Williams trade, is that really going to help out their defense? It has so far. That offense is still humming. George Pickens trade has proven to be amazing. I was skeptical of it. I apologize, George. Don't come beat me up because you potentially would. What a game. Kansas City is favored by 3 on the road.
What is peekaboo?
That's his first down celebration this
Okay.
year. It's been.
I mean, that's a pretty good first down. So he's hit it a lot.
Yes.
So he's been phenomenal. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Sanders, you didn't hear my big speech, and actually most of the country didn't hear it either because we were going through computer audio at that point.
Apparently it sounded like we were in a tunnel.
It was
Because
pretty bad.
It was
funny.
coming through the computer audio, sadly, computer microphone.
Just give it again with a good mic.
But that's what I'm going to do right now. Kansas City beat Indianapolis. There's no way to deny that. They shut down Jonathan Taylor. There's no way to deny that either. Jonathan Taylor had 16 carries for 58 yards. They forced Daniel Jones to beat him. No way to deny that. Daniel Jones started 10 for 11, finished 19 for 31. They played with true desperation, won the game. They forced Indianapolis, the best offense in the league coming into that game, to have 4 straight 3-and-outs on their last 4 drives. That being said, the run game worked visually. Do you think Kareem Hunt ran the ball well on Sunday?
Yeah.
He had 104 yards. He had 30 carries.
Schubert.
He had 30 carries on the ground. Kansas City had 33 first downs to Indianapolis's 10. 91 plays to Indy's 50. 346 passing yards to Indy's 181. 148 on the ground, Indy 74. A 17-minute time of possession edge. They won the penalty battle. Shocker. It's Kansas City. 7 penalties for 57 yards to 11 for 83. They were better on 3rd down. They were perfect on 4th down, 2 for 2. On top of all of that, they were at home in Arrowhead. It played a huge factor, and yet it still went to overtime. It was a game controlled by Indianapolis for much of the entire game, and Kansas City was forced into 5 field goals with this electric offense, and they won on a game-winning field goal in overtime. I don't get how then the people are now saying today, Chris Broussard said, what they showed is they are championship medaled. Nick Wright said, come at the king, you best not miss. Vegas and the people, because the people are a part of this, Kansas City is the 3rd best odds to win the Super Bowl. They're the 10 seed in the AFC right now and are 6-5. It is week 12, meaning that there is no way to argue it. That game was played like a playoff game. It was announced like a playoff game. The crowd cheered like a playoff game. It was presented by CBS as a playoff game. It is week 12. You're going to tell me that they have to go play and win because they have to win pretty much every game going forward. 10 more playoff games in a row. I refuse to believe it. And all of that being said, with for them to be the Super Bowl third best odds to win the Super Bowl right now is diabolical because they are 1-4 on the road this year. They're gonna have to go on the road all 3 games.
Sure. I don't think they should be third best, but I will say a lot of teams up near the top have struggled.
Sure.
So I think it's kind of hard to find people that have really separated themselves. I still don't think Kansas City should be third because Kansas City for sure has not separated themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Every team above Kansas City, you got the top 3: New England, Denver, Indianapolis, who I think are the 3 teams that I will not say have not struggled because Indianapolis just lost to Kansas City, but
Denver struggles every week.
yeah, but they
Bo
they,
Nix
they still
rolls
win.
out there.
Not in the fourth quarter, they don't.
They struggle.
That anyway. But below that, you've got the Ravens at 4, who are 6-5, and they've had their struggles with defense. Maybe that's fixed now. Who knows? You got the Chargers at 5, who do not have an offensive line. You got the Jaguars at 6.
They do have an offensive line. They have 5 guys out there every week. That's an offensive line.
When you say 5 guys, you talking about like former employees of 5 guys?
No,
or?
like 5 guys, 5 NFL players. And so I really think Herbert just needs to be doing more. He has an offensive line.
I can't disagree with that. And then
Bad take.
The 7th
Bad
team,
take. And then the 7th team is the the 6th team is the Jaguars, who you've lost a tiebreaker to, but who knows what the Jaguars are. Buffalo Bills at 7.
I know what the Jaguars are.
Maybe you do. You might be in the minority of people who know what the
Goofballs.
Jaguars
You
are.
just named Chargers, Jaguars, Bills. They are already a game behind each of them, and they
Yeah.
have lost the head-to-head to all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Meaning they are 2 games behind.
Yeah.
They got to win every game going forward, and that is why I am outraged with the way.
But I think Jack's point is you may not have to win every game going forward because there's a real chance the Bills drop like 3 or 4 more games.
You have to win close, though. And I mean, I think that is what's crazy about them
And
being,
you play the Chargers again, so you're only 1 game behind them if you win that game.
as I defended them being third, though I don't agree. I kind of defend the logic. It is kind of crazy that they're third best odds, and their percent chance to make the playoffs is got to be under 50%
I think it's like 50-50.
or 50-50.
Coming into this game, it was 54%, so I imagine it's 57%.
Like, it'd be crazy to bet on the team that has the third highest
Yeah.
odds to win the Super Bowl when you're not even sure they're going to make the playoffs.
Can I bet for them to not win the Super Bowl?
You won't get the same kind of odds. You won't get the
I
same
don't care
kind of
what
juice.
the odds are. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
I don't know if that's available. Look, I say all of that, and I give that big speech to say that, once again, I don't know if you've heard this. You have seen the text. If Kansas City wins the Super Bowl, I will wear old piss gear on this show.
I need to tweet that. I'm tweeting that. I need to tweet that.
3 straight times. 3 straight shows I will wear old piss gear on this show. Also make a TikTok out of that, please.
Out of the tweet or out of just that?
Out of this, and you can make it the tweet as part of it as well.
Yeah.
Regardless, Kansas City comes into a game where they play the Dallas Cowboys, who just pulled off the comeback over Philly, down 21-0, scoring 24 unanswered. We'll talk about Philly in a second. But of this game, Vegas shows correctly the Kansas City is only a 3-point favorite in this game, meaning it's essentially a coin flip for who wins this game. With the way Dallas has played offensively, you have to wonder if Kansas City is going to have trouble with that. They're not going to be able to just show up and stop the run because Dallas doesn't like to run the ball. They like to use George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. And so that, I think, could be a potential problem for Kansas City.
Sure.
The one difference, though, and that is the X factor, is what it was in the Indianapolis game. If Chris Jones dominates again, it's a different story. But this, again, will continue to build as we get further down in the season. They're going to have to play with the same amount of desperation and everything on the line that they played with last week for 10 to 11 straight weeks. That is going to grind on them, and they are going to fail at some point. I think they fail on Thursday against Dallas. I think Dallas's high-power offense is going to be a problem for Kansas City.
Yeah.
You could argue Kansas City won't have the same problems offensively that they had against Indy, but I don't know. We've seen 2 games from Dallas so far, and we said the same thing about the Ravens of, we've only seen 2 games. We're not sure their defense is really performing well. well, the 5 straight games the Ravens have held their opponent under 20 points. Not that different of a talent profile, I'd argue, with the injuries that the Ravens have had. Of course, Dallas doesn't have a Kyle Hamilton, but they do have Quinnen Williams, and Quinnen Williams has been excellent in his 2 games. And so maybe we'll say the same thing about Dallas, especially when they play and are playing with so much emotion because of the passing of Marshawn Nealon. All of that being said, I'm going to split down the middle of you two. Sanders thinks Packers-Lions is the biggest game. Jack thinks this is the biggest game. I think it's a coin flip. I think they're both just as big
Sure, that's fair.
for me, and I can't wait for this one. As both of my second teams, I'd say, but I guess I'm also a Seahawks fan too,
And a Raiders fan. Don't
and,
forget the Raiders.
and a Raiders fan.
Is
And
that
I
fandom gone, though?
I do like Philly. I'm still a Geno Smith guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
I
And a
like
Jaguars
I like
fan.
Ashton Genty. I am a Jaguars fan. I do like the Eagles.
Would it be easier to name the teams you don't like?
The Chiefs.
And the
The
Falcons, the
Falcons,
Bucks,
the
and
Panthers.
Panthers. It's the
I don't mind
it's the
Tampa
Chiefs.
Bay, Carolina.
Really? But they're one of your division rivals.
I don't like them when we play them.
You don't like any team
I
when you
like
play 'em.
Baker.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. All that being said, I can't wait to cheer for Dak in Dallas on Thursday, and I hope he gets another win on Thanksgiving. Dallas, that was not. This isn't has no impact on the game, but that was Dak's 19th straight win at home over a divisional opponent.
Shout out Dak.
Over
That's
Philly.
crazy.
He has lost just 3 times ever against a divisional opponent at home.
Protecting Jerry World.
He protects Jerry World, and especially in division. I think he'll protect Jerry World on Thursday, but it's not my right to pick first. It's Sanders.
Well, knowing which he's going to pick. No, I'm kidding.
You don't know that yet. The pyramid makes my pick, actually.
True. Let me just take a quick peek at the pyramid.
Oh,
I'm gonna,
pyramid. What
Uh,
wisdom do you have for me today?
I love it. It's funny because JP makes the pyramid like it's not like it's a model. It's
Yeah,
just,
correct.
JP's just like, I think this team is the best team. That's
Yeah.
one. These 2 teams, and so when you use it as betting advice, you're like, let's reference the pyramid. It's like, let's just reference what I think.
It's what I think.
But when you label it as something
It's a good
fancy.
check and balance, though, you know.
Yeah, let's go label these power rankings that I've developed by just ranking the teams I think are best.
I put it in a data value of how much I think this team is better than the other team, is what it is.
It's a good check and balance. It keeps them from getting overzealous.
Because, like, I think.
But where's no one's checking or balancing him? It's
But
just him.
because he can't be like, oh man, I really like this team in the moment, or be like, oh, this gap is crazy big, and the pyramid would be like, no, it's really not that big. This is the gap.
Like, I really like the Rams. I think they're the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And then there's Tampa Bay. I think they're better than Tampa Bay. How much better are they? That's
Yeah.
what the pyramid is for.
For all we know, he gets the pyramid from somewhere. He like goes out.
He might just be stealing
he-
like
well,
somebody
else
else's.
power
well,
rankings.
Not even that, but like he goes out to the woods.
Oh, also true.
There's like a shaman or something, and he's like, "Do you have the pyramid?" And he's
I
like,
pray to the Lord.
"Yes." Oh.
I am gonna pick Kansas City to cover the 3 in this game. It is still 3, right? So like we could have a push potentially.
Let me double check for you because
I-
it could have changed through the night.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
been a minute.
It is 3. It opened at
All
4.5
those
in favor of Kansas City.
chronic gamblers up at 12:50 in the morning, sports betting.
It's when the lines move in the morning hours,
like this morning or like in like 9 a.m., 10 a.m.
The wee morning.
in the wee morning. Like in 5 hours, it'll move.
Well, yeah. I hope we're not still live in 5 hours.
We will be here waiting. For
I
the
might
line
still
to
be
move.
up. I still gotta edit all the videos.
I have to get
Yeah,
up.
let's just hang around and wait for them. I'm gonna pick Kansas City to cover 3. I hope we don't get a push because I don't have ties built into the spreadsheet right now.
Valid.
That is valid.
Yeah, I think if it tied, I might just. Oh, I would just take the game out. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fair. It
We would
doesn't
only
really-
have picked 2.
Yeah.
We would only have picked 2 games this week.
Like I said, I referenced the period for, not the period.
which
it's
time
late.
period?
It's late.
2000
It's so
BC.
late. I feel like I'm.
JP references to the period of 2000 BC.
I feel more delirious in this one than when we drove back from College Station. I won't lie.
Yeah, that's fair. This is wild.
Um,
Y'all have also been live for
Yes, this
6
is
hours.
6 hours. 7 or 6 hours. I referenced the pyramid for my picks now, and the pyramid thinks the wrong team is favored.
Wow.
The pyramid thinks Dallas should be favored by half of a point. And so because of that, this is also one of my best bets.
I love
Give
it.
me Dallas +3 and Dallas to win and the Kansas City to be 6-6. And then now what are they going to say?
I'm just thinking
What
now.
they gonna
Now
say
that I'm
now?
thinking about JP being the one that makes the pyramid, every time he says the pyramid thinks, he's just saying JP thinks.
Oh, it's amazing content.
in third.
No,
in
the
third person.
pyramid. The pyramid. The
Maybe it's like he's like 9. So like when he goes home and crafts it, it's his 9 personality. It's a different personality.
His
It's
subconscious
pyramid.
takes over.
It's pyramid Pusalowski.
No, it's just J pyramid.
J, JP,
Yeah.
Jonathan
Hey,
Pyramid.
y'all are welcome to make your
Pusalowski.
own pyramid and,
No, I don't want to.
and use it as your own model.
It's your
I
thing.
think
No,
that'd be
I think
hilarious.
I think it's all you. I just think it's fun. Now that I'm thinking about it, you like
I can't
it's
make
like
a
you're
pyramid.
referring
That's
to
not
yourself in
original.
the third person.
Totem pole.
Yeah, it's just 32 teams. that would be crazy.
Put up the graphic.
Using my calculations on that, you would have the Rams as a 35.5 point favorite over the New York Jets.
Now imagine the college football totem pole. All right. I'm taking the Cowboys. I want the Chiefs to win. I hate the Cowboys, but I think the Cowboys win this game. So give me the Cowboys. Give me Dallas. I may have to break out the totem pole, man. It's so late.
Yeah, I've got the Rams as 35.5 point favorites.
It's not me, man. It's not me. It's the totem pole. I can't. I can't argue against the totem pole. It speaks, I listen. All right.
We're all crying. Okay.
Over the stupidest joke ever.
Let's take a brief recess. Let me just 5-minute break.
No. We're locked in.
Okay. Whew. All right. And now, when I clip this Bears Eagles video, we're all gonna be crying, and no one's gonna know why.
Very emotional.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Bears football and it makes me sad. I don't know.
The nostalgia, man.
What? Okay. The Chicago Bears travel to Philadelphia to face the Eagles on Black Friday, and the Eagles are -7 point favorites. The Bears have been hot. The Eagles are coming off a bad loss to
Very.
the Cowboys where they led by 21 points, and there's still weird mojo there. Y'all's thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's completely opposite mojo in the locker rooms. For given Chicago with their win streak, they started 0-2. They are now 8-1 in their last 9. And then with Philly, they of course have started kind of hot, but they've also just had so much discourse for a month and a half, 2 months if not, with A.J. Brown. You come off losing a game in which you choke a 21-point lead. Chicago comes off yet another game where they make clutch plays at the end. They're now 6-1 in one-score games, so Sanders can pick Chicago to be terrible next year, and that would make sense. Same way he felt with Kansas City coming into this year. You
Looking
think
like I might have been right.
the jury's still out. We'll see.
That was I don't want to completely divert, but like the whole win thing, like our Chiefs video, I think was a valid question, and the YouTube title was, can the Chiefs get a win in what's expected to be a close game at home? And someone commented, I don't remember exactly what, but you bozos are terrible. Like, he just said something, and I was like,
Yo,
what?
dickhead.
He did not say that. We've only had that said to us one time.
Yes.
But I was just like, and whatever he said, there was no context, so I just responded with question marks, and he never responded. But I do think that like your success in one possession games can fluctuate even when you have a lot of the same team. So
I think what Jack and I argued as a counter to that was well, we don't expect Kansas City to go from 7-0 to 0-7. We expected maybe 4-3,
Yeah.
and it has been a complete flip.
Yeah, and I think my biggest argument, which we're way off now, is like they'll probably lose a couple one-score games. I expect them to be in a whole lot less.
Yeah,
One-score
because they were in
games.
12
The
last year.
Yeah, and
so you expect them to be in like 6 this year and
Yeah.
go 3-3.
and then we're still chilled. They win a ton of games. Well, that was wrong. They're still just in so many one-score games.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see the viewership on this game. It will help that much of the public will only tune into the Egg Bowl because Lane Kiffin and it may be his final game and all of that, and the potential upset there. But if Old Piss is blowing us out in the second half, they'll have turned that game off. They'll have gone to this one. Georgia Tech won't have started, and if Georgia Tech,
Our game will be over.
yeah,
11 a.m. kickoff. So
it should be very close to ending, and Georgia Tech won't have the same amount of impact it feels like it would have had last week, giving Georgia Tech's loss to Pitt. So I don't think they'll have as much of a competitive battle, but I really thought last week prior to this past weekend's games that maybe they'd actually have kind of a battle of viewership. NFL has never had a problem with that. They've had games on Saturday before. They've had Thursday games that have competed with others. They don't do Monday Night Football on the day of the national championship, but they've had to compete with college football before and other big sporting events. The World Series they compete with almost every single year. There's a game on Sunday in the World Series, and they compete with it. It hasn't mattered, and I don't think it'll matter here, especially with the teams in this game. 2 8-3 teams. It's a huge game just for Chicago. Philly, I think, can lose this game and be fine. We hope, at least I don't know how Jack feels, but as a Dak Prescott fans and Cowboy fans, because of that they lose this game, because now we're only one loss behind Philly, and if we had won against Kansas City, we're in a great spot going forward, and maybe Dallas can compete for the division. And history would say, as Jack pointed out in our earlier show, that Dallas is due to win the division, and so that wouldn't be necessarily that shocking. But for Chicago, if they can extend their lead in division with the Packers and Lions playing each other, only one team is going to get closer to them. If they get to 9-3, have a shot down the stretch. Now they've got to win this game. It's one of the big ones. They still have to play at the Packers, at the Niners, who are a postseason team at 8-4, and host the Lions. Big games down the stretch, but this is the first one. If you can win the first one, then it makes a huge difference going forward for the confidence you'll have in your team. On the flip side, it can fully swing the other way. We talked about Tampa Bay the past 3 weeks with their 3 big games: New England, at Buffalo, at Los Angeles. Loss. All of a sudden, you're looking at 8-6, 8-7.
Yeah.
Or are we even going to make the playoffs?
yeah.
It can really flip.
And they could have the exact for the Buccaneers, they lose those 3 games, and then tonight you're looking at a possibility where the Panthers are, with a win over the 49ers, would have the lead in that NFC South, and you go from being dominant at like 6-1 or 6-2, and having that close loss to Philly, but you can't lose close games because Baker Mayfield is going to lead that 2-minute drive to those 3 straight losses. Chicago loses here. They still have to face Green Bay at once, and then you said face Detroit.
They faced Green Bay twice. They faced Detroit, and they're at the 49ers still.
Yeah. So you could, if that same slide where you lose this game, and then you lose one of those Green Bay games, and then you lose the Detroit game, and now you're looking at 9-8, 10-7. But in this division, do the Packers finish ahead of you? Do the Lions finish ahead of you?
Yeah.
It's just this game could define the rest of your season, set you up for success or set you up for failure.
Yeah, so much of the Commanders game has already defined the Bears' season once again, but this one is the next one that can define it, because the NFC is going to be really competitive. There are 10 teams competing, like the AFC, but these are really 10 teams that you really consider. Besides Carolina, it is the Cowboys, the Lions, the Niners, the Packers, the Seahawks. If the Bears lose that division lead, you're right in the bundle of Seahawks, Packers, 49ers, Cowboys. That's 4 teams. I haven't named the Bears. That's 5. Only 3 spots available for wildcard teams. So they need to be, I think the best route for Chicago to make the playoffs is to win the division. given how close Green Bay and Detroit are behind them. And so this is so much pressure on them, and it's a really, really critical game. And given everything that has happened in Philly over the past few weeks, they should be playing with a lot of confidence and be the confident team going to this game. I think the only downside they have is something that Mississippi State has had to deal with in years past, is where the big game you're about to have, the team loses the week before, and all of a sudden they lock in and they're ready to play. And I think that's the fear maybe for Chicago on Friday. Any thoughts? Otherwise, we can get to picking it.
I just no, I'm not gonna say it because my thought kind of leads into my pick, so I'll just sit on it, and I'm ready to get out of here.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Bears Eagles game, but
I'll go ahead and make my pick so that Jack can we can get a Jack's pick and he can share his thoughts. I'm gonna pick Philly. I just don't know if the Bears are there yet. They've been good, but I feel like the Eagles are more tested and the Bears are not. It's in Philly. I think that if this matchup is in a year or two, I think the Bears have a good chance of winning it, but they're just so young. I don't think the Eagles. I think that the Eagles' experience in close games, in playoff against other really good teams and winning those games, I think it'll put them over the top, and they'll win this game by 7 or more. So I'm gonna pick the Eagles to cover.
I think a huge part of this is Chicago on the road. This year they are 3-2 on the road, and none of the games have been easy. Their wins at Raiders, at Commanders, they won 25-24 in both of those. And then the Bengals game, they have to complete a huge comeback at the end to Colston Loveland with less than a minute left and a huge shootout. And then their 2 losses were uncompetitive. At Detroit, their second game of the year, completely uncompetitive. And then at Baltimore, in a game that Lamar doesn't even start, and you lose 30-16. Are they going to get off that train? I don't think so. I think Philly, with their loss last week, is going to play really motivated. That crowd's going to be really electric, given the Thanksgiving holidays and it being home at Lincoln Financial Field. And I just don't think it favors towards Chicago on Friday, especially with the short week. I think Philly it'll help them because they don't have to sit on that loss for as long. They are ready to go on Friday and can immediately just get rid of it and get it out of the mind. And so give me Philly to win and to cover, although I'd love to see Chicago win.
Jack, how many wins against playoff teams do you think Chicago has right now?
0.
0.
You would be correct.
Yeah.
They have 8 wins, and 0 of them are over playoff teams. They've beat the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Saints, the Bengals, the Giants, the Vikings, and the Steelers.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. That was just like JP was talking about, like
Yeah.
That's
a great
their
point.
road struggles, the close wins, and when you listed those 3 teams, I was like, those are 3 bad teams that they struggled against. And I was like, who else did they beat?
It was something
Nobody.
we talked about a ton with Chicago and the other show is people are saying they're fraudulent, but that's going to work itself out because they have to play the Eagles, the Packers twice, the Lions, Niners. So we'll know whether or not they're fraudulent and whether the not beating playoff teams will matter.
Yeah.
And it'll work itself out over the next
And
few weeks.
In terms of like how their fans should feel, you weren't beating these teams last year, so you're at least made an improvement there. Be happy about that.
Sure.
Your pick, JP?
I got Philly.
That's what you said. You just said Philly. I apologize. I
You're
didn't
good.
see it up there. I'm also going to take Philly, partially because of the Bears. I don't think they're frauds, but I do think their record's a little misleading. I'm not going to go as
Sure.
That's crazy that you pound the rock, hammer it, that Denver is fraudulent.
because I think the discourse around them is very different.
Well, that's fair. Okay, that's fair.
So I think people are way higher on Denver general. The general consensus is that Denver is better than Chicago. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, never. I take back my judgment of that take. That makes sense.
I just think we've been here before with Philly where they lose a game they shouldn't lose, or they just kind of put up a stinker and they still win it, and we start asking all these questions again, and then they turn around and kind of shut us up. And so I think they'll turn around and shut us up at least for a little bit until they have another really bad performance and the vibes get really bad. We start asking questions again. They turn around and shut us up. So I'll take Philly.
Cool.
All right, last segment, best bets, and then we can get out of here.
We're calling
and-
it best bets again.
Didn't we agree that it was still best bets? Last
Should
I-
we should we
I
change it
didn't know
to
how I didn't know how you did last week.
pyramids best bets?
Yeah.
2 and 2,
2 and 2.
2 and 3,
No,
1 and 3.
One
we
and
went
three.
1 and 3. Carolina didn't backdoor cover. Philly choked.
Not a disastrous week.
9 didn't show up, and so we are 22, 33, and 1 on the year. We can call it. Sure, these are JP's pyramid bets this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. The new formula for the pyramid will be for graveyard teams, which is something I hadn't figured out yet. If it's a graveyard team versus a non-graveyard team, take the graveyard team plus the points. It seems counterintuitive. You would think, oh, this team's not in the graveyard. This team is. They're elite. They're going to destroy this team. Well, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. I mean, the Jets beat the Bengals. New England didn't cover this week. That so far this year, graveyard teams versus non, where you take the graveyard team plus the points, are 15, 10, and 1. And then the other one is graveyard versus graveyard teams, which are the shitter games. That's the only other way to put it. Take the underdog in those games plus the
Sure.
points.
You just got this video demonetized. Thanks, JP.
Yes. What can I do?
Dang, we were going to make so much money on this video.
We're going to make money off these bets, hopefully. That is 4 and 1 so far this year. So that is both of those are doing better than what I am generally doing as a pyramid, where the pyramid is 58 and 58. Would be looking at a 53% correct pick percentage, which you need 54% to be profitable. So we're right there. Best bets isn't there, but the pyramid is there, and trust in the pyramid because the pyramid has 3 picks coming at you this week. Funny enough, I have 4 spreads that are within either a half of a point with the actual spread, and 2 of them are the same spread that Vegas has.
So the Vegas uses the pyramid too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or my thinking is not that poor.
Yeah.
Like we joked about earlier. Potentially. Allegedly. These are my 3 bets. 2 of them we've already picked. I'm going to take Green Bay plus 2.5. I think Green Bay is just half of a point dog against Detroit, and I think they will cover the 2.5 points and win, actually. I'm going to take Dallas plus 3. I think the wrong team is favored against Kansas City and Dallas. I think Dallas should be favored by half of a point. And so give me Dallas to cover 3 points. And then my last one is my other love, among many of my loves, Seattle. Minus 10.5 is the last one. They play 9 in J.J. McCarthy. The spread is 10.5. I have the spread as minus 12.5. Those are the 3 best bets, 3 pyramid bets of the week.
Yeah.
For reference, if you want the other 2, it's Carolina, again, sadly, plus 10, and Pittsburgh plus 4. I think those are a half of a point difference in the actual spread, so there's technically lean.
It's a
But
little
those
scary.
are the 3 best ones that I have for the pyramid. Then, of course, take graveyard teams plus the points or the underdog in graveyard versus graveyard,
Sure.
and it will do you well.
What is your plan
You may not.
for as you continue to knock layers off the pyramid?
We will just have less and less games.
Okay.
The
We'll have a
ultimate
smaller
goal is
pool to
to
choose
get
from.
to the postseason and be able to have that and be able to nearly pick a perfect postseason.
Fair.
Solely off the pyramid.
That'll be the pyramid's ultimate test.
It will.
I will say, Seattle may not get a face 9. It could be a Max Brosmer,
Also
which
true.
you got to feel good about your odds in that matchup either.
I imagine the
Anyway.
spread will move, but for me, when I do the pyramid, I do it early in the week, and so I just take that spread. I don't
Oh,
care
yeah,
what
100%.
moves.
100%.
And so that'll be what
Just
it is going forward.
Saving us from the disaster of J.J. McCarthy not playing, guys. Don't know ball. I digress. Shall we get on out of here?
Yeah. It's
We're-
only
we're li-
1:10, and I
we're-
have a couple hours of video editing ahead of me.
When are we debuting the totem pole?
I think next week I'll get on the totem
Okay.
pole. I really wish I mean, I technically could do this. It would be so much work. But, like, get a physical pole, and I can, like, drop teams onto the totem pole.
That
And
would be
32nd
sick.
place. Bling. It drops to the bottom.
That would actually be sick.
Yeah.
If it's
It'd
just
be-
like their color or
Would
something.
be
Yeah,
a lot of work.
It's doable though. That's
Very
DIYable.
Very.
Yeah, we're a little past 3 hours in this live stream. Me and JP already cranked out one before this. The vibes are high and low at the same time, I think is the best way
They're
to
tired.
describe it.
Little-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
the-
sad that it's pouring down rain right now. I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That really sucks. Darn. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to anyone who contributed in the chat. I'm going to go get some sleep.
What do you have to get up for the drive tomorrow?
No, we're leaving after Lucy's
Okay,
test. So we're
that's
good.
good.
And we're
I'm
like
glad it's
around
not like
lunch.
up at the crack of
I'm
dawn.
going to work in the morning.
That's
tough.
tough.
But thanks for tuning in. We're going to go get some sleep. If it's late where y'all are, I suggest you go get some sleep.
Yeah.
I love a good YouTube video in bed. But sleep is also very necessary, so maybe consider getting some of that. And we'll see y'all next time. Not tomorrow, not Thursday like normal. Sunday, we'll be back Sunday.
We'll be back.
Yeah, perfect. And see y'all then. Peace.
See ya.